Good day, everybody. We're back with more Hayseed Night. Let me know if you can hear me. I think things are fine. I think they're cool. I'll have to keep a look at the chat, and I'll tell them we're live on the text thing because two episodes ago we had issues. So what I'm gonna do is go say we're live. Type it in. There we go. So if they don't see it, then I know they can't hear me. No, I'm 3 minutes late, technically, which is not bad. But anyway, let's continue on because we're poor Adder is stuck in some Sep's head. Twitter it, Twitter it. There's no Twitter anymore. What are you talking about, man? It's X now, don't you know? So apparently, wait, I've got to save Sep, so it goes right to here. So Romir let me know that that's what that does. So um, sure. So apparently the game was telling me to save, and so I did, but I saved because I wanted to, not because the game told me to. So anyway, you're about to take a deep dive into the darkest corner of Sep's mind, where she doesn't dare step. You'll have to venture forward, thrusting your instinct and her occasional advice to advance through the maze. It's impossible to tell what you may witness from here on. As an additional precaution, however, you have a Show Content Warnings button at your disposal. It will display a screen listing relevant content warnings for the memory once you click on it, so you know what to expect should you prefer it. Alright. I love mom, hair, don't open that door alone, add her something. Depth's Diary. If anyone other than me is reading this, please burst into flames and kill them. Revisit the memories you've seen to find new paths. Grown-up years, teenage years, childhood memories. Seen gazes 5 out of 31. Dear Dai, Mom says you are mine now, and C said you are my friend in Buck, and I can tell you things when C is busy, and I can tell her you are like you often tell not, but not dumb. Okay.
Honey, please, let me in.
Ah! Go away! No!
Oh, Sep, I'm so sorry I scared you. I'm not mad, see? You didn't make me mad. I just got a tad upset because I was trying to have an important conversation with Dad while you kept tugging at my sleeve and I lost my temper. I didn't mean to yell at you like that.
So, the funny thing that adults do is like, I'm not mad at you, I'm just upset and angry. But I'm not mad, even though like those are synonymous. It's like, why do adults do that? I'm not mad, I'm just other word for mad.
I'm sorry, dear. I really am. It's not your fault this is happening.
The gazelle fawn stepped away from the door, letting the doe walk in at last.
That's okay. We all make mistakes. As long as you understand.
Like I understand synonyms. Sep took Zara's hand and patted it softly, like an old woman would.
Where did you learn that?
Tree Dad says it. He talks funny.
Illigrab is not your dad, sweetheart.
Nah, you're not my mom too. But that's okay. I like you more than my old mom. She never said sorry to me. I'll make you a present for being a good mom.
Yeah, we've seen this one. The tiny gazelle turned away from Zara and began scampering about the room, looking for a perfect cushion to plop up on. She produced a piece of charcoal from her sleeves and her dress and crumpled a piece of paper and started doodling on it. Or at least that's what Zara thought at first. She soon realized that lines Sepp were drawing on the pieces of paper were far more elaborate than scribbles.
Did Illigrab teach you how to write too?
No, Big Bro teached me. He says I have to do his homework to pay for the room or he'll kick me out. But he doesn't know that I like it. Shh.
Zara didn't have time to react to this revelation as this piece of sooty paper was shoved straight into her snout.
For you, it says I like Mom a lot. So you don't forget and get angry again.
Zara stared at the piece of paper, flummoxed, then Sepp, who was turning back to her expectantly in turn. Then she gave Sepp the strongest hug she'd ever given anyone. It was perhaps the first hug the fawn had ever known. Zara let go of her all of a sudden, prompting a quizzical look from her child.
I have just the perfect gift for you. Wait right here.
The image of a mother dashing out of the room dissolved into heavy clouds of dust. Okay.
Hey, Sip, so, I've been thinking real hard about that thing I said about being responsible and whatnot, so I think I'm ready to take this step. Ma'am, will you be my wife?
Sepp nearly spit her whole drink on Adder's face.
What? What? Are you seriously asking me to marry you?
Look, I know it's sudden and it's weird and my parents will never look at me the same, but it's the right thing to do. And I don't want my fawns growing up without a father.
Fawns? Whatever gave you the idea that I'm expecting?
You know, or maybe you don't know. Please tell me someone told you about this. Hold up, maybe gazelles just don't make fawns like we do. See, when a deer and a doe love each other very much.
Oh my gosh.
Hey, Sep, quit acting like a fawn. This is important. Come on, does it look like I'm telling a joke here?
The thread of thought Adder was following dissipated into something untraversable. This current wouldn't take him any further. Fawns. I think that's the one that unlocked. Alright, we can go up to air. Dear Diary, Mom told me that she's endowed and I am gazelle, but we're family and I said I now, but she said the rest don't now, so they're dumb and I agree. Technically.
No, I refuse. No matter how you insist, I can't just choose one. You are all my favorites.
It doesn't work like that, Mom. You have to pick one.
Why? Can't I love all my children equally?
It's not love, it's law. Illigrib says that it's the parents' duty to choose one child to favor as the heir of their estates to prevent a division of power and infighting among their descendants.
I need to have a word with Mr. Buntalos about his idea of age-appropriate lessons.
The doe's coattails meandered behind her as she made her way through the pergola. Sepp followed them closely.
He also said that I don't need to worry about any of that because I'm not a doe like you. Is that true, Mom?
The trail of ghostly silk came to a sudden halt. The doe turned around to lift the tiny gazelle between her arms.
You know what, Sepp? You are my only daughter. So that technically makes you my favorite daughter, doesn't it?
What does technically mean?
Kind of.
That means I can technically keep my room?
No, dear, you are destined for far greater things. You will have your very own palace when you're older, much, much bigger than this one.
But I don't want to go. I want to stay here with you. I don't need a big room. It can be small, the smallest one.
I don't ever want to leave. The day started with a promising invitation, the massive nuance that attending it would suppose for Seb. This was it, her first foray into the family business, heeding the whims of some dear other than Miss Rochelle, being paraded around town like a prize, feeling everyone's stare on her and her patron. No, wait, she enjoyed that much. It was the questionable poetry that was killing her.
Ah, Joseph! How have I longed to talk to you face to face like this. There's no greater distance than time, milady, when your company I lack. For if you were to travel beside me...
1,000 leagues would seem a yard. Fancy that. You look fantastic for being nearly 200 years old. If it's true you write your own words, Sir Askadath.
Ha! Discredited by a throwaway quote spoken in haste. Had I known I was in the presence of a fellow thespian connoisseur, I'd have found something more discreet to recite than a traveling troupe classic, like well-willed words.
Don't worry. I wouldn't know what's cliched and what's not. I'm not allowed to attend any performance outside the Desert Rose. Miss Rochelle insists that public theaters are not fit for royalty, and that I should be content with reading books instead.
That is absolute utter nonsense! Theater is an art! Had I been born under different circumstances, I would be touring the kingdom with my company! Not as a mere mummer, mind you, but as the most goddamn renowned actor in all of Akathor!
Wow.
Alas, my endless list of nobiliary obligations takes far too much time from my schedule as it is, but not enough to ever skip a play, big or small. I shall let that stewardess of yours know that she's an uncultured beast, if you do not do so first.
Please don't. As much as I'd enjoy seeing you insult her, that'd be far too reckless of me. I shouldn't risk losing the only home I've known over a few laughs.
What do you mean, Joseph? Is the Desert Rose not your property? The last bastion, the remains of your kingdom?
It's a long story. One filled with murder, treachery, and usurpations.
I mean, as a theater buff, you should like that.
Go on.
Exactly.
I should indeed be the owner of the Desert Rose by family right, but Mom, Mother, never named a legitimate successor. She probably never intended her business to outlive her, but she didn't intend to leave us as soon as she did either.
Speaking of which, that video is coming.
When she died, everything turned to chaos. Some fled, thinking that we would tear each other's throats over the deed of ownership. Some left, trying to clear her murderer's name. I stayed, too young and too scared to know what would become of me. Someone had to take the reins of my house eventually. Miss Rochelle, my mother's oldest apprentice. She promised that she would only manage the Desert Rose while I was too young to do so myself. But now I realize that a gazelle will never be old enough in a doe's eyes. My chance to rule and my chance to escape both disappeared a decade ago, and so I came to a tragic conclusion. I'd rather see my mother's legacy stolen than destroyed, and I'm afraid that I was part of the deal as well.
Your words feel as swords sunk deep into my heart, and yet their painful steel shines with the promise of change in your luck. I see now that meeting you was far more than coincidence, Joseph. It was fate! Yes! What else could it be? We are both exiles kept away from our legacy. Our reputations torn asunder by mistakes we made in our childhoods. You are not allowed to leave your palace, whereas I am not allowed to return to mine. But this shall not stand! If your evil stepmother has taken over your kingdom, I will find a way to restore it! And if your rightful mandate cannot be returned, I will found a new kingdom for you to rule.
Elbar turned towards the towers that led to the royal pathway. Sept instinctively took a step back.
Come now, don't lag behind! There is much to be discussed, my princess.
I can work with this, or I can't reclaim what I want. I'll let you guys decide this one. I think Inova said be right back, and I have no idea. Like, it was a few minutes ago, though, at this point. I know which way I'm leaning. Alright, Brent, Strangelove says work. Or unless you're asking what it means. Like, I can work with this means that she'll probably go along with the Moose's plan, whereas she's the conniving type. Yeah. Yeah, she definitely is. Alright, we'll go with that. The current became more and more complex as Adder traveled down this path, a mix of mysteries and emotions and torrential thoughts that would make little sense to him without further context. Memories missing, one. Maybe I made the wrong choice there? Don't open that door. Dear Diary, Yagani came back last night. He smelled really bad. Yoff says that he's here to return me to my real parents because everybody hates me. I hit him, he hit me back. We hit each other a lot, and I got angry that I grabbed his head and pulled his hair. And then I felt really strange inside, like my eyes were really sore. I don't know what I did to get, but Gyalf was crying. He wouldn't let me see, but it must have hurt a lot. Mom came back when she heard, but Igya was with her, and he got really mad. He screamed at me and Mom, asking who I was and calling Mom names. I don't know what's happening. They left me all alone up here. I can still hear Mom screaming. I'm scared.
Mom? Mom? Mom!
Once more, Adders felt his mind being desperately dragged away from this memory. As such as he tried to see but lay beyond the door, the smell of blood and smoke clung to his skin, and as everything went dark. The thread of thought was followed, dissipated into something untraversable. The current couldn't take him any further. Okay. Alone. Why was everyone screaming at me? I can't choose. Says several pages. I should have left. I should have left. I should have left. I hope Gyaf gets stabbed in his sleep. I hope he dies as he crawls back. I give up. The nightmares won't stop. I hate deer. I hate deer.
Oh, honey, come on. You can't stay mad at your poor brother forever.
He is no brother of mine.
What would Thar say if she saw you two fighting like that?
She can't say anything anymore, can she?
Oh, she died. Okay. Leave me alone, or I never wanted any of this. Okay. A memory recorded from a low angle, or rather that of a child looking up from her hiding spot behind a statue. She stared intently at the unusual giant tree man, held by the most unusual red man off his back.
Welcome to the Desert Rose, oh wise merchant. I hope the road has treated you well. I've been looking forward to meeting you personally. Illigrab has told me many stories about you.
I always knew Illigrab was a Yaltsin, but to think he would mingle with actual strumpets.
Red, come on. I'm not asking for so much. 10 minutes. 10 minutes acting like a civilized person in front of Thar.
You can stick your civilization where the sun doesn't shine! I was happy in the steppes, far away from all these senseless plots of yours. When will you get it in your head that I am retired?
What Sepp had mistaken for a furry statue of sorts moved all of a sudden. It swept Sepp right off her feet with a soft kick and then grabbed her shirt before she touched the ground. The living statue proudly lifted its catch of the day up in the air for all to see.
Oh, there's a little slippery star. What did we say about sneaking around like that, Sepp?
No, I wasn't sneaking around. I was eavesdropping. Unhand me. Unhand me, I said. Mom, help.
No, if you wanted to meet our guests, you should have come and done so properly. Mr. Red has come a long way to see you. What sort of impression are you going to leave on him if you don't behave?
You misunderstand the purpose of my visit, woman. I haven't come here to see her. I have come here to be seen.
Following an unspoken order, the golem carried Sepp a few steps closer to the merchant's face so she could take a good look at him. A moment of expectation ensued. All the attendees stood in solemn quietude as the young gazelle stared at her senior.
What are you? Is your name really Red? Is it 'cause you're red? You look really old. Where are your eyes? And your horns? What happened to your teeth? Your breath stinks.
Are you done yet?
Yeah.
What's any of it to you, you mannerless scamp?
Said mannerless scamp startled so badly that she managed to slip away from the living statue's grasp. She immediately ran to hide behind her mother, nothing short of terrified.
Shh, it's all right. I apologize, Mr. Red. She can be a little overwhelming when she gets excited.
Kids these days. In my day, we called that spoiled. And the cure was a good smack on the head with a long side of a cane. Isn't that right, Aina? Aina?
Her nose twitched slightly, as if bothered by a certain smell. The faintest trace of emotion began to form in her mane as her snout wrinkled and her eyebrows rose. The look Aina had on her face when her eyes found Sepp again was awfully casual. It wasn't all that different from the expression an immortal would wear upon remembering they had forgotten to hang out their laundry for the last few centuries. The merchant's cane flew right into Ina's chest before whatever thought had passed her mind could take form, putting a sudden stop to both her approach and her expression.
Commiserations for abducting the right child. We're done here.
What? You're leaving so soon? I was hoping we could discuss...
There is nothing left to discuss! Not until we have settled down, at least. Illigrab! Is my old abode still free?
You mean the Temple of Ereb? It was expropriated centuries ago. I mean, sure, you could buy it again, but it's a miracle it hasn't fallen apart yet. No one has tended to it since my grandfather wilted away.
Perfect! I hate getting used to new houses. Come on, Aina. We have a lot of stuff to carry back home.
Ina stared at Stepp a little longer before reluctantly following the merchant's footsteps.
Is he always like... that?
Oh no, not at all. He usually swears a little more.
I'm special, or stop being mean to Mom. I'm guessing this is saying this to Red. special. The only child wandered the dark and narrow alleys of Iridium for the first time in her life. The rainy season had left a misty fog that covered her escape. A welcome assistance as her hooves kept slipping on the wet mud, leaving a clear trail to follow. But then again, who would ever look for her? She was alone. That's why she had left, searching for something, someone, anyone who would understand. At last, she found two gazelles gathered under a balcony, warming their hands with half extinguished fire hidden under some bricks. Sep took a deep breath, and then a step.
Tasakurmat!
Excuse me?
Oh, did I pronounce it wrong? I'm so sorry. I haven't practiced my Basacted in years. Here guard you. May we share the fire as siblings?
You are welcome to sit down? If that is what you're asking?
Sep nodded, flustered, and then made her space for herself on the ground between them. The gazelles exchanged uncomfortable glances.
So, what brings you here, little one? Did you get lost on your way back from an errand?
No, I just felt like doing this. I wanted to see what the city was like at night.
Ah, so this is your first time outside after curfew. No wonder you're so nervous. Worry not, you have come to the right people. Listen, the key to making it home in one piece is keeping your feet nimble and your fire low. Avoid the moonlight as much as you can. Deer can see better than us in the dark.
Come on, that's just hearsay.
Capitat it is. Guards always see you before you see them. And if one finds you, you have to play dumb. And I mean really, really dumb. They are paid in Setipas and would rather send you off on your way than waste time walking to the dungeon and back. By the way, if you fancy a drink before going back home, there are a few friendly taverns just around the corner. No one will say a thing if they see a gazelle walking in.
Not like you'd need him. You look like a doe in that.
What do you mean? My horns are right here. See?
Don't mind him, he's just jealous because his masters are a cheap lot. Those are some really good hand-me-downs, though. What house do you work for?
I don't work for anyone. Well, I mean, I kind of work in the Desert Rose, but not really. Val isn't paying me yet because she says I'm still training and I have a lot to learn, and...
The older gazelles look at each other, horrified.
We have to do something, right? This is like 10 different kinds of illegal.
Wait, we shouldn't just jump to conclusions.
Kid works in a brothel house. Oh no! I mean, that is a.
Hey, kid, can you tell us what you're training for exactly?
I'm supposed to be training to become a dancer, but actually, what I'm really training for is becoming the next Jasif. I will restore or honor to what it once was.
The next? Oh, my son! You should have said so sooner! To think that the Jasif would spend her precious time scampering through dark alleys and huddling around a doused fire with us mere servants.
Don't encourage her, you iskap!
You are the only iskap here! Bow your head and apologize, Nuth! Don't you feel ashamed for teaching our son how to sneak like a street shrub on our first night outside, instead of showing her the proper path for a monarch?
The proper path? You mean I shouldn't be here?
Of course not! See that footbridge above us, my son? It's called the Royal Pathway, and it's a road reserved only for those of noble birth. And tell me, Jasif, who could be worthier of walking the skies than the daughter of the sun herself?
Wait, kid! Don't listen to him, he's just...
Yeah, how come no one ever told me about this? What am I doing wasting my time on the ground when I could be watching the city from up there?
Right? Come with me then. I'll show you to the entrance.
Oh.
You two seriously have nothing better to do tonight than to make fun of a kid? You know, I usually turn a blind eye on petty things such as barhand escapades after curfew, but incitement is a far more serious crime. Guards!
Sir Brutalos, please! It was him and him alone. I was trying to stop him, I swear!
You can play the blame game all you want in the dungeon. Take them both.
What are you doing, Illigrab? Let them go! They're my friends!
No, they're not. I heard the whole thing, Sep. They were just laughing at you.
Wait, were you following me? How did you know I ran away from home? Who told you?
That's not the matter at hand here. You are not allowed to go into the royal pathway under any circumstances ever again! Have I made myself clear?
No! It's not fair, damn it! Mom always said that I would grow up to become the next Jasif! You called me Jasif too when you left! Well, it's there in the title! The royal pathway! I deserve to be up there! Mom wouldn't want it that.
Look, Sep. Thar was a lovely woman. I wouldn't hesitate to call her one of the best people I ever met. But she was a doe. Her kindness tinted her views so much that it obfuscated reality. This world looks nothing like she thought it did. At least not for you and I.
But that's not fair! Don't you get it? They should be listening to me. I am Jasif! If the world doesn't look like it should, I have to make it change! I'm not doing it for me! I'm doing it for them!
Yeah, that's what happens when you raise a royal brat.
Why can't anyone understand that?
Illigrab patted her head as softly as he could.
There is someone who could.
Don't treat me like a child, or I can't trust anyone. Mean gazelle. Oh no! Are you having issues there, Ganovo? Let's see what the count is for people here. I think it's only like 2. Yes, it's only you two, so... Anakin Skywalker, right? Send her to the beach. I hate sand. It's coarse and it gets anywhere. So don't treat me like a child, or I can't trust anyone. Whoever answers first gets it, because there's only 2 of you. So you're gonna have to fight for it. Or I'll choose going once, I'll choose going twice. Oh. Everyone's watching it on the playback. Yeah, I'm sure. No, it says that there's 2 people here. Ah, okay, yeah, that's what I was going for anyway. The fawn jumped out of her bed, ignoring the sheets she was dragging behind her and the danger she posed on the carpets and vases that decorated her bedroom. Sep valiantly ventured into the dark corridors where a child's nightmares always lured near. But she didn't fear them, no. All she needed to do was reach her mother's door. She'd be safe there.
Mom, I saw...
There was nothing at the other side of the door but an empty bed, looking over a dusty, moonlit chamber. The little girl observed the room from the threshold, afraid of stepping in. Until a mirror told her that she wasn't a little girl anymore. A thread of thought that Adder was following dissipated into nothing, something untraversable. This current wouldn't take him any further. I think the red ones are the ones I have not done yet, and I'll kind of continue going from bottom to top as I unlock them. So we're going to go with the red man. Dear Diary, today I met another gazelle called Red and a beast called Ina, and they are mean. Mom says that they're important and they'll help me, but I said no because Ina is a beast, but my mom said Ina is a golem. But I am pretty sure it's a beast and it wants to eat me. I haven't seen Giaf and Tiad's dad in a long Kia's dad in a long time. They're sad, but I'm glad that they because he's mean too, but they can't know that. When Eligrab and Red visit, Mom locks the door and they won't let me hear what they're talking about, and they talk to in Basiktat, so I can't understand. They let me play with Aina while I wait, and I don't think she wants to eat me now. Mom tells me to be careful, but it's like playing with a very big doll. I ask her many things, but she doesn't reply, but I can hear her snore when I tell her she's rude, so I know she listens to me. I have staring contests with her every time she visits. It makes my eyes hurt, but I'm going to get better at it until I win. I think Tiad is afraid of Ina. He looks scared when I'm playing with her. I've told her that she doesn't want to eat us, but he runs away when she looks at him. Rel told me that he's in love and told me to keep it a secret. I told Mom. Sorry. Today I asked Illigrab if the merchant is his husband because he's always screaming at him and he gave me a hug. I was trying to make Ina blink today when I heard a voice. I looked around, but we were alone, and so I asked her if she had said something, and she looked at me, but she looked really scared. I told Mom and said she said I must have imagined it. Giaf heard it, and he made fun of me and said I'm going crazy. I'm not crazy. He's crazy. I was crazy once. Talid likes Ina too, and he wants her to live with us. Mom's going to buy her so I can have a friend here. Illigrab and the merchant come home a lot, but sometimes we visit the temple too. There's a pretty statue of Hirab, and we play there. The merchant makes fun of the way we saying words in Basiktat. I hear Ina laughing too sometimes. Mom says that Hirab made me, but I don't know if that's true. She doesn't let me read her thoughts, but I can still remember the face of my old father when I close my eyes. Maybe that wasn't my father after all. They could have found me just like Mom did. I think the statue looks like a girl. I like her horns. Okay, so this was... Alright, we'll try that one.
We have more than enough money to keep another child. That's not the problem at hand, is it?
No. The problem is that you've lost your damn mind! Where are her parents, Thar? Someone must be looking for her!
Someone must be looking for all the other girls I've brought home too. But you don't understand. She's different.
We'll have to put bells on you if you keep sneaking around like that, little pumpkin.
Tree Dad! How did you do that?
It's a secret feet shuffling technique I was taught by an old friend. You ungulates are so used to clopping your hooves that a shifty walk goes completely over your heads.
What's an angulate?
How about I tell you over some tea and pastries?
Zara and Igna turn to look at the tree, smiling nicely towards them. They both cast their eyes down and hurried away from the courtyard. Were they fighting about me?
Mom? Mom? Mom!
Once more. Alright. Oh. Basically, I was repeating that. That was the fight scene, and we were kind of getting kicked out. Adder felt a longer tremor than usual as the memory disappeared. A piece of the wall fell down, followed by another, and then a dozen more. A thin breach formed in her defenses, casting a single sun ray into the darkness. It wasn't nearly big enough for his hands or his head, but that was without a doubt the way out of her heart as she promised. He hadn't taken 2 steps toward it when he halted in place, paralyzed by a thought. Adder knew that if he walked out of there, Sepp wouldn't let him back inside, ever. But was he ready to leave? Did he really know enough to face her? I think this calls for a save. So do we want to stay or do we want to go? I think if we go, the story continues on. Like if we stay, then we get to like go through some of the more of the memories, and like depending on how much of the memories we go through, it could impact the ending, I think. But if we leave, we probably get to an ending faster. Leave. Ganovo. Okay, first come, first serve. Adder took a moment to reflect upon the entries he's read. If it wasn't enough, nothing would be. He headed towards the crack wall and examined it for a while. It didn't look like anything less than an earthquake would make it tremble down. I mean, it must be necessary, right? I don't know. And what was the closest thing unto an earthquake Adder had in hand? Adder rammed straight through the wall. Oh yeah. Proving that his will could shatter rocks, bricks, and mental defenses.
Whew, I sure hope that wasn't important. Alright, come on, Adder. You got this.
Yeah, wasn't necessary, right?
Sam! I think I got a good idea of what's going on with you. Can you?
Enlighten me.
Adder took a deep breath, trying to recover from his fright, or rather, using it as an excuse to order his thoughts for the last time. What was, indeed, so wrong with Sepp as to require his help? She's just bored.
So, this Dawnsoon was for real amazing, wasn't it? We jumped off a bridge, we got drunk in your room, we got drunk on the beach, we spent a lot of time drunk and naked together in general, right? What'd you do with Lord Snotty Snout, huh?
Oh, for the love of... have you been looking into my memories of him? Weren't you the one making fun of me for... what was it? Abusing my powers?
Nah, ma'am, you've got the wrong book. This one was busy trying to figure out a way to make it out of here alive. But all he came out thinking is you've been bored to tears without him. I mean, think about it. I'm sure the most exciting thing that's happened in your life lately is seeing me drop from that noose. You only helped me back there because you missed me, and you were dying to find an excuse to play games with me again.
So what you're saying is that you never were more than a toy to me.
Your words, not mine. But yeah.
Ha! That sounds plausible, doesn't it? I told you 1,000 times. You mean nothing to me. You are just one among 1,000, of course. It would be a completely valid explanation if you weren't skipping one essential memory.
Sepp put her hands over Adder's burn.
I don't want to talk about that one.
Why, Adder? Are you still scared?
I ran away, yeah. So what? I kept your secret, all right? Even after you hurt me. Even after you ditched me and made like I didn't exist. I still won't let anyone come after you. Ain't that good enough?
No, it's not. But then again, nothing ever is. You're right, Adder. It's been fun. We should play together more often.
Sure thing, ma'am. If I still got a head after this, you can go and ask your new knight if he's fine with me dropping by for a visit.
That never stopped you before, did it?
Adder had just about enough level-headedness left at this point to realize that that was not a conversation he wanted to start, continue, or end. He chose to ignore it, like so many of Sepp's feelings before that, like so many of his own. he would put that feeling away in its own neat little box, never to be opened again. At least, not for as long as he remained in this world stuck to her.
Come on, Sep. Let's just focus on finding a way out, all right? We got more important stuff to think about right now than this.
This? More important than all the ways in which you've broken my heart, you mean?
The sand started trembling.
On second thought, I'm not certain I'm ready for you to leave this place, Adder.
What the hell do you mean, Sep? Wasn't this whole maze trip you sent me on meant to help me find the exit or whatever?
I'd say this is a more fitting end to the diary. You've helped me see the light. Despite all the pain you've brought me, you were a fanfare playing in a wake, a wave crashing before the riptide. Nothing but despair awaits in the real world, whether you win or you die. Why would I go back there? Why should I pretend that I'm willing to put up with another word Elbar says? To become the lady of some miserable deer house? To shrivel in my ambition of becoming Jasif? Huh. I am a goddess, Adderson! Whatever it is you wish, ask and you shall have. I could just dream a whole life for us. We could be eternal!
Sep, you can't do this! We'll die!
That's okay, dear. You don't need to understand now. I've got an eternity to convince you this is the right choice.
Sep! Sep!
Kid, what are you doing over there? Those aren't the right Lynn noises for this scene.
I'm writing a canon-compliant, irredeemable jerk-ass adder/eternal forlorn goddess Sep in the Desert of Visions alternate universe fanfic! It's to die for! I kind of blinked and got lost a few minutes ago, but you know how it is. I cannot control where the ink flows when the pen possesses me to write.
Ah, yes, I understand. I too am overwhelmed by the blessing and the curse of an overactive imagination. I know what it's like to be incapable to be free inside your own mind, so you must run wild instead and to indulge on the what-ifs in the worst possible moments. I get you, child. I do. But I need you to get this as well. I'm going to make you drink ink until it flows out of your ears if you get lost again and let me run ahead with my own story because the pen has possessed your head, you to write headcanons. Understood?
Overstood.
This will be the last time I repeat myself. Alright, we're staying then. Perhaps he feared giving Sep an incomplete answer. Perhaps he just wanted to take advantage of her trust. Be it as it may, Adder turned away from the breach and opened the diary once more. At least he would know where to go if he finally wished to leave. Alright, let's go back to that. Dear Diary, Mom was angry again. I think it's my fault. Did I do something wrong? Tree Dad says I didn't, but I don't know. Undulate, 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 air grab, air grab, air grab, air grab.
We have more than enough money to keep another child. That's not the problem at hand, is it?
No. The problem is that you've lost your damn mind! Where are her parents, Thar? Someone must be looking for her!
She got the right hot fan fiction. Trapped in the mind for all eternity. Kinker.
Someone must be looking for all the other girls I've brought home too. But you don't understand. She's different.
We'll have to put bells on.
Tree Dad! How did you do that? Mom? Mom!
Okay. Don't know why that was highlighted in red if we'd done that one. Never mind, I hate gazelles too. They are all brainless and I hate them. Illigrab had to come get me and scold me because none of these bastards understand who they're talking to. Illigrab was right. I have to go see the merchant. He'll make me strong. He'll help me make everything right. This may be the last time we speak, Diary. I am leaving too. A lonely child. Oh wait, is this the same? Okay, we've done this.
Tasakurmat.
We'll go with I can't trust anyone. Okay. Didn't work. Alright, the long silence. Dear Diary, I know it's been a while. I'm not trying to avoid you. I just have very little to tell. I spend most of my day dancing bastardized versions of the songs Mom used to teach me. And when I'm not dancing, I am arguing with Ral about the way she tries to change the songs even further. I have been trying to find someone to practice basaktet with, but to no avail. None of the few people who know it are willing to teach a child a language so powerful. I had a nightmare today. I dreamed that a beast came for me and ate me. How do I react? I called for Mom. I'm dying of shame just from telling you about it. Thank the gods no one heard me. And speaking of divine, tomorrow's the big day. I will become an adult in the eyes of the gods or some such pointless tripe by swearing my royalty to Asgard, as if. But those are the rules and they set for me, are they not? I decided years ago that I would walk to Heeeeead's statue on my right of age. I will look at its empty eyes and swear that I will find the power to do things I need to do, to be the person I need to be. I have made it this far with my sanity intact. If that is not proof of my strength and determination, I am not sure what could ever be. It took me all of said strength and determination to not choke Ral tonight after I saw the tradition Barum dress she bought to celebrate my debut into society. It was not a dress, it was more like a quarter of a dress. She had the gall to spit on my history and then claim Mom had it made for me ages ago. Does she think I'm an idiot? The mere insinuation that Mom would ever make me wear anything quite so tasteless is revolting. Maybe that is what's giving me nightmares. Or perhaps it's just my mind subtly telling me that I'd rather get eaten than go through this. Oh my. Crowded Room 1. Dear Diary, I have tried to fill this page over and over, but ink alone can't convey the feelings that move my hand right now. My rite of passage came, and with it Ral's obvious ploy to introduce me to what she refers to as the family business. I can't believe for one second that Mom had anything to do with parading those around for deer to drool over, but arguing with that terrible woman is pointless. Waste of time if I ever saw one. At first I was crawling out of my skin with those clothes on and all the fire burning around me. I felt exposed and awful and trapped. You don't even have anything to be ashamed of up there, Ralph said, giving me a goddamn slap in the butt. I truly considered taking a torch to her dress and running, but then a thought struck me. Had I not practiced this dance 1,000 times? Was I not blood of the mightiest people that who ever danced with fire? I could quietly die of shame in a corner, unheard and ignored, like any other gazelle these beasts had ever met. Or I could burn for all to see, make them remember what they had witnessed for the rest of eternity. They would not dare forget what they saw. And I was right. When the dance finished and I took the last steps to the center of the stage, they asked about me. They wanted to know my name, my story, my age, everything. And in a bout of inspiration, I proudly announced, I am Jasif, and you need not know more. The deer went quiet, and then they all stood up and began whistling and clapping like they had lost their minds. That was power, Diary. The fire and the gazes and all the fine words I have been taught had nothing on the sway I had over the powerful men of Irium as I danced. They were sweating as they watched, swearing over and over, and they were not horn eaters as they looked for a way to approach me in private and ask when my next show would be. I finally realized how foolish I was spending my nights hidden among books in my room, hoping that someone would come and rescue me. I am not a little candle blowing in the wind. I am fire itself, hungry for everything. It's time to escape my confines and see the wonders of the city has been saving for me. Goodbye, Diary. I have a date tonight. Is this the...
Mom!
Yeah, I think we've seen this one. Dear Diary, how are you? Am I supposed to say that? It's been a whole eternity since the last time I wrote an entry, and I do not suppose that this is bound to happen again anytime soon, referring to a book in second person. It's quite an awkward thing to do, especially for a famously obscure Joseph. The eternal novelty of the family rose. Yes, as you can see, this is hardly the most pretentious thing I've ever done as of late. Gods, did I really... Like, this is all, like... Scary screen! Yeah, I know, right? It's the same... we went through that. I wish it would, like, mark which ones you've kind of done already. This is getting pathetic by the second. Yeah. I have a crush, Diary. I think I do. I think it's mutual because every time I visit the Temple of heeeeead, I find the same white-haired creature watching intently from afar. Their presence sends shivers down my spine. The good kind of shivers are long, hard. Oh my gosh, really? A love triangle with Ina? Oh, but what I really love is the way they stare at me, so tense, so hungry, and I may have stayed a tad too long in the temple looking at for my absent watcher. It was far too late to risk walking home when the temple lies so close to the slums, and I knew I would not hear the end of it if I disappeared 2 nights in a row. So I decided instead to take the completely different path, kind of risk. I snuck into the royal pathway. I was crossing the stretch that goes over Slander when who do I see but a mysterious albino running after Gyoff, no less. I need to talk to them now more than ever, I thought. We have so much in common. So there I was, enjoying a show when I heard the patrol coming my way. I tried to leave quietly, as usual, knowing that they aren't ever precisely in a hurry, when a ridiculously eager new recruit managed to sneak up on me. In a second, I was cornered against the railing, no chance to escape. I knew his partner well enough, awful old man. He gave me a choice that really was truly not one. Humiliate myself to prove my identity or get dragged into the dungeon. In retrospect, that would have been the smart choice. I could have walked in and told heeeeead what happened, but pride would not have me relying on my old friends. So I tried to buy my way out as I normally do. Except I miscalculated. I said too much, and the guard must have noticed some serious gaps in his memory. He lunged forward, grabbed my neck, and I was convinced myself I was going to die. I almost felt... Is it easy to feel that single sentence would tarnish you, Diary? If I write down these words, they will always be there for me to see and remember. That would not help, would it? I have no control over my thoughts, but I have control over these words at least. So I choose not to say them to you. It doesn't matter either way. So that moment didn't last. Well, that's really unfortunate. I kind of get what happened there. Joy Luck Club. It was a book kind of performed that particular aspect in a similar manner. Ugh. Anyway, get your mitts off her, shouts some random one-eyed chubby roe deer in the thickest accent I've ever heard in my life as he screams and screams at them to leave me alone. And not content with that, he climbs half the height of the bridge and falls on his head. It was adorable and it was sad, but it seemed to have made enough of the impression to prompt the new guard to do the obvious right thing and take that creep to the dungeon instead of me. So I'm writing this today because I want to remember that. This anonymous act of heroism? No, that may be too great of a name. Idiocy? Selfishness. Selfishness begets selfishness. That could be a proverb. Does that sound like a proverb to you, Diary? I promised the boy that I would make it up to him personally, but I had to steer clear of the slums for a while. I will find him though, eventually. I trust my bad luck just fine. I am still awake, as the thought keeps encroaching over all the others. I just remembered how hot and bothered that idiot got when the guard accused him of being a horn-eater. That is what prompted him to climb the bridge, not what happened before. Did he notice my horns at all? This is probably the...
Just who do you think you are?
Yep. Yeah, so the diary sort of describes the scene, and we did see this one about 2 chapters ago, so I'm going to skip it. This is the night where the guards were confronting Joseph, and then, like, basically Adder's at the bottom there. All guards are bastards, or did he mean that? Problem is that the interesting thing about this, though, is that even though the scenes are the same, like, where the question pops up is kind of important, so you kind of have to watch them a second time. So that's an interesting thing. The only child walking the dark. Oh. Okay, so...
Tasakurmat!
So let's go back to the one-eyed thing, and then let's pick the other one.
Just
So
who do you
basically,
think you
these
are?
kind of
What?
jump.
Ugh, I won't fall for your bar and mind tricks, Gazelle.
These
I don't
kinda-
care if you're
these
Hayseed
kind
or
of,
Jasud. Only nobles are allowed to walk the royal.
I'm so dead. I'm so dead. It's all right. I lived a good life, and I can say bye with a smile. Tell my friends I love them, and burn me with my purse before my boss figures out where all the missing rivets go.
For the last time, Adder, the wine was not poisoned.
Adder couldn't believe her, but then again, he could barely believe anything at this point. He had eaten figs and dates and honeyed pastries by the dozen, sitting on cushions that felt like clouds, and he'd drunk wine so sweet that he could barely believe it was liquor. So easy to drink it was, that by the time they finished the first pitcher, they were already drinking from each other's mouths instead. And now Adder was lying on the host's bed with a disheveled gazelle in one hand and a tiny orate cup in another. What does he do with the rivets? Like, that's his job with Aina. He's like a blacksmith
Don't
or
take
something.
me wrong. Now, I'm just saying, a gazelle inviting a poor buck to a fancy palace, feeding him food this good and getting him all drunk? I've heard this kind of story before, ma'am, and it always ends with Barhan curses and deer turned to stone.
Like I could make it any harder.
Oof.
Ma'am!
I was talking about your skull. What were you thinking?
Now I'm thinking that maybe it really is as thick as y'all say, because as much as I try, and I tried, believe me, I just can't shake the feeling this is just too good to be true. You sure you ain't about to curse me or something?
So what if I am, What if it turns out I'm a Sephi and I put a spell on you? Isn't it a little too late to run?
Well, technically we are trapped in her mind and, like, having to figure out all these things through memory, so yes, she did put a curse on us. Spoiler alerts, Seb.
You know what? I think I just let you do whatever you want to me at this point. Just don't leave any mark.
Adder, please. That's beyond inappropriate. Whatever happened to the shy boy I took home today?
You served him wine, ma'am. He drank it, and now that he's drunk it, he's drunk. And that really makes him feel like telling you how pretty your horns look, and how cute your fluffy little tail is, and how much he loves your hip-shaking, earthquaking, heart-melting butt.
So that's just the wine talking,
Not a chance, ma'am. Adderson, son of Gerfat, says what he thinks all day, every day. Wine just makes him say it a little louder.
Really? I'm not so sure about that. I have a feeling that you'll start looking for excuses the moment alcohol stops being one. And I'm going to take the brunt of the blame, as usual.
Hey now! I may look like a crook and smell like a crook and talk like a crook, but there ain't nothing farther from the truth, ma'am. I'm a knight at heart, and I say I'm in everything that I did today.
A night, you say? Never mind, you are drunk.
Adder took both of his hands to his mouth, effectively hiding his whole face instead.
You didn't hear any of that.
Oh, I most certainly did. How could I forget I was dining with Sir Adder? No, Lord Adder, perhaps. Milord Adderson of the Highfield.
So, you call yourself Jasif, so you have no right to...
It's Adderson of the Upper Field, and you're the last person in the world that gets to make fun of me for wanting to be something I ain't, Sep.
Yeah, that's what I said, Adder. You tell her.
At least I have the decency to call myself Jasif before and after 2 cups of wine. And so should you, before you slip and tell someone.
Don't you worry your pretty striped face. Your secret's safe with me. I won't tell nobody you're a sep if you promise you won't tell them I'm a horn eater.
I refuse to make any such promises unless you can prove your aptitude.
Your aptitude for keeping the secrets that you've stolen.
Huh? What's that? You think I'm gonna go and spill the beans the moment you turn around? Alrighty then. I dare you to come at me with any kooky spooky mind-reading magic stuff you got. My lips are sealed, ma'am. I won't breathe a word.
Is that so? Then brace yourself, Adder. I'm about to show you a millenary memory-altering technique.
A waterfall of wine fell on Adder's face. Chase? Adder's face. Maybe the narrator's drunk too much wine. He shouldn't have been chasing waterfalls. Should have stuck to the rivers and the lakes that he's used to. It's not that stupid, is it? You don't know knights. Alright, guys. Pickin'. It's not stupid, is it? Or you don't know knights. Don't waste the wine. So I think this is like, let him lead into the memory or the desire to be a knight, and then this one is, okay, not that stupid. We got, oh, nope. The current became more and more complex as Adder traveled down the road and picked some missive without further context. Alright. I think this one was Adder something. Yep. I brought a new deer into my room today, and you will not believe who it is. That one-eyed chub. I found him at last, though he's anything but not chubby anymore. He actually looks kind of janky, deformed. Mismatched would be a polite way to put it, I think. His name is Adder something. And as expected, he is an idiot. I made my intentions clear the moment I saw him, and yet, despite his obvious desperation and his many slips of the tongue, literal and figurative, I think there is something wrong with his jaw. He insisted on playing dumb and refused all my advances. I soon grew tired of dancing around the issues and knew that, and knowing the curse can only do so much, I decided to read his gaze to see if he had if I had the right deer after all. And you know what? It turns out he is a gaze reader. Of all the deer in Ascor, this dumbass can read gazes without any proper training. Mom would have absolutely lost it. I invited him over, dying to see what other surprises this elongated bag of serendipity hid, and I decided to seal the deal with a kiss and a little touch of persuasion, lest he get cold feet. But none of that worked out either. I cannot tell if my voice affected him at all. He got mad at me. I could not care less if my powers are useless on him, but he does not realize that I am worth 1,000 times more than any miserable dough he could ever hope of lay one of these massive fingers on. Nonetheless, I need reasons to keep him close for the time being, and I still have a favor to return, don't I? P.S. Did I mention his hands? Hero be bless his hands. PSS. I usually wrote it PPS, I don't know why. Mr. Adder. We had dinner together, but I couldn't read his mind because masked deer arrived and I had to hide behind him for a while. That was a nice, but I'm kind of drunk. Tell you tomorrow. This is where...
Focus on your breathing. In, out. Good. Don't stop. Keep your eyes on me. Like that. Relax. Now tell me, Adder, what am I thinking?
You thinking this sounds 10 kinds of wrong?
Ugh, no! That's what you are thinking, damn it! Why isn't this working now? You read my gaze without even trying just a few hours ago. Doing it on purpose shouldn't pose a challenge after all the tips I have given you. What's your problem?
The sound of a pebble crashing about the balcony drained all the color from Sep's face. Elbar had finished his quest.
Look, ma'am, this was a lovely night. The pastries were out of this world. You're a for real nice gal, but it don't look like I'm cut out for this whole wacky, magic-y, mind-reading stuff. So I think I'm gonna go and get for you. Try to yank my head hornless.
That would have probably normally been a problem. Sep did what she could after all, and if a pauper like him didn't want to accept her generosity, that was his problem. However, she faced a small logistics problem. There was only one discreet way to enter or exit Sep's room. The window, of course. The same window which was being attacked with pebbles at this very moment. Needless to say, she couldn't let him go.
Wait! There's something I need to tell you before you leave. Honestly, I've been meaning to ask about it since we first met, but I didn't quite know how to word the subject nicely. Say, Adder, do you have some kind of aversion to baths?
Say what? Of course I take baths. I ain't no smelly buck. It's just that I've been running all day and I work at a forge and you've been making me real nervous with this eye magic stuff and...
Ah, I see. Well, don't mind me then. I'm sure that ashen sweat is a popular perfume among slum dwellers.
I get it. Sheesh. I ain't gonna make me self-conscious about it.
So you agree that you need to wash yourself, right? Perfect. Our bath is right under these stairs. It should be empty right now, so why don't you head there and hide for a while?
Hold up right there. Did you just say hide?
From the rest of the world. It's like a metaphor for relaxing and... Ugh! Will you just go and stop stinking up my room already?
Yes, ma'am.
Adder sobbed a little as he sneaked out of the room. A deep breath was all in preparation Sep could gather before the window burst open.
Hello again, babe.
What do you think you're doing up there, you loon?
I have solved your riddle, Jasif. I come bearing gifts for you, and therefore I become the opposite of a thief. And so, with that misunderstanding cleared, in I go!
A twinge of fear shook Sep as the masked deer she had grown to find absolutely predictable barged into her room. It passed quickly, however. The Desert Rose was her kingdom, her home, and the only place in all Asgore that she could ever be truly safe. If any guards appeared, it would be because Miss Rochelle called them, on her behalf. If anyone so much as looked at her wrong, they'd be quickly disposed of, as long as Miss Rashif approved of it. No, there would be no need for that. The intruder somehow looked even sillier yet and close. Horns aside, there wasn't much taller than a gazelle, making him look squat and quite in spite of his otherwise mighty and wealthy appearance. Sep smiled to herself. Perhaps she had been looking at the situation wrong.
I must admit that I am rather impressed by your guile, my masked madman. Had I known you would return to me so quickly, I would have prepared my room for the occasion.
At least you could have opened a window in my absence. It smells like a volcano in here. Damn, I thought the Princess of Sand and Fire was your stage name, not your living conditions.
Oh, yes. That's just the smell of ash. Forge ash. Its purifying properties are astounding, but it's a bit of an, acquired taste.
Well, whatever it is extremely vexing. We will have to do something about that next time. For now, however, I didn't know what kind of present you would appreciate most, Your Majesty. So I took the liberty of bringing those that I do enjoy.
Alba removed the fabric covering his hand, only to reveal a silver plate full of pastries and a wine pitcher.
We shall partake on a most lovely dinner to celebrate our first encounter.
Yeah, he did stink. Even the other even Elbar could smell Adder's stink.
That's actually a fantastic idea. And yet I worry this marvelous evening may still lack the right appetizer. Perhaps a few verses would open my appetite.
Oh, Jasif, how astute of you! Feigning disinterest in serenades deceive the feeble suitor from the truly devoted. You have pretended enough. Heed, so the words of your poet. Brighter than all the stars in the sky, warmer yet than the desert is dry.
My. I thought I had been hearing voices for a while now.
Sep closed her eyes with a small, victorious smile as the door opened to her room and burst open.
Who's there? This is not what it looks like. I can explain. I am...
Sir Elbar of Askadath. Now there's a man who doesn't need an introduction. We are most honored by your presence.
How did you find me? What magic have you employed to see through my disguise, old crone?
Oh, please. Any business owner would do well to recognize the captain of the guard in any state of clothing. But that's not the matter at hand, is it? Of course not. We're here to talk about Princess Jasif.
Sep had many questions, complaints, and just about enough criteria not to let say a word when Miss Rochelle was talking in her behalf.
You have exquisite taste. Jasif is such a little gem, so sadly overlooked by deer like us just for those Barhan horns of hers. But oh joy! Having you here means that her talents have finally been recognized by a worthy patron. Because you do intend to patronize her, correct?
Why, yes, of course! I would never dream of wasting the time and talent of an artist like her without compensation.
Oh, this is such a magnificent moment. Please, come this way. We'll make the necessary arrangements over some tea.
Disregarding their difference in status, Miss Rochelle quickly pushed and dragged Elbar out of Sep's room.
Whatever happened to a streak of bodies in the sewers?
Yeah, no, like, he's rich, honey. That's how it works.
Dear? Oh, dear. Taylor could never get his hands on this one.
Miss Rochelle slammed the door shut, sucking all the noise out of the room for a second. Finally, a moment of peace. For Sep, at least. Heeeead. The mere mention of Illyrium's most infamous moneylender's name sent invisible shivers down Adder's spine. But that revelation that he was, in fact, her so-called brother paralyzed his every thought. Perhaps, he hoped, it was another Heeeead. Perhaps because it was the same Heeeead that he inevitably hear about about the trial, and anything revealed in it about Adder and Sep, and then someone would find a rotten hunk of yellow venison hanging from his hooves. Adder briefly considered his options before realizing he was about to die either way. May as well have some fun in his last moments. Sep seemed to appear... So that was Adder, like, us in her head, I think. And by the way, like, most of her diaries had Tyr's name in them that we read. So it's like, is the read, like, and this is kind of one of those weird things, is the reading of the journals not what Adder is seeing, but only the thing that's performed? Because, like, otherwise he would have seen the name before. Sep seemed to agree as she quietly took a cup from the drawer and began to pour wine into it. For a few moments the door opened once more. Quietly this time. Sep didn't need to look back to know a completely soaked Adder just entered the scene.
Oh boy! Soap! You know how long it's been since I last saw some good darn soap? I smell so fruity that I'm making myself hungry here. And look, my clothes are super clean now too. It sure was hard getting all the grunge out of them, but I think I managed.
Tell me you didn't wash your rags in there.
Okay.
Sep hid her face within her hands, seeking to cease to exist for a brief moment.
I just went and messed everything up again, didn't I? See? I gotta get the hay out of this place before I end up setting your room on fire or something.
No, it's all good. I just need a good excuse and a refill. You want one too?
An excuse?
A cup, you moron.
Adder began sniffing the cup Sep pushed towards him.
Oh, darn. Check this thing out. Looks like tar juice. You drinking poison or something?
It's northern mulled wine. Pretty much the same thing, if you ask me.
What? Whoa! That's the real stuff, huh? Way out of my budget. sure hope this ain't no scam now, because there ain't no way in Doc Nah I can afford this. Unless you're really taking rivets this time.
Please, that joke is getting old. Just relax and make yourself at home. You're my guest tonight, which means that anything in this room is yours for the taking.
Anything?
A single insinuation eyebrow should have told Adder all he needed to know. But he was much too preoccupied with the pastries laying on the silver plate.
Yes, anything at all.
Well, guess a little sip won't hurt.
Okay, so this is what leads into... Knock, knock went the door, but it was completely ignored by the gazelle resting at the other side. The knocking continued at an eager tempo, specifically designed to annoy Sep into getting up, but she was far too cozy to mind.
Knock, 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 Jacif! Open the door! It's me!
There is no... Deceive before the sun rises.
Should I call you Omaseptut then?
I'd rather you didn't call me at all.
Oh, come on, dear. Don't be such a bore. Today's a special occasion. I've cleared out my schedule just for you so you can tell me all about your new patron.
Give me a moment.
Sep rolled towards the edge of her bed with a speed that wouldn't have been out of place in a snail race. She managed to gather up enough momentum to just barely defeat gravity and get up. Getting dressed was important, of course, but if she was to survive a lecture so early in the morning, she needed to have a hearty glass of juice. Fermented grape juice, to be precise. As she poured her favorite tonic, an oversized pair of arms surrounded her waist, pulling her into a warm embrace.
Good morning, sleepyhead.
Good... What?
She forgot. The illusion of comfort was broken all too soon.
What do you think you're doing?
Giving you a nice good morning hug?
Here! I mean here! What are you doing in my room so late? Or so early? Or... why are you naked?
Do I have to explain that part? Oh, look, I would have get a lot sooner, but you looked at me all teary-eyed when I was leaving, and then you asked me to stay, and you looked so sweet when you pulled on my hand. I just couldn't say no to that face, and...
Shut up! I did what?
What's taking you so long, Jacif?
Who's that talking over there? Is that your ma?
No! That is none of your business, Raoul!
Don't start with that ugly business talk again. I thought you'd be in a talkative mood today of all days. Don't think I didn't see all that wine.
Yes! Did you hear that? I was drunk. I was tired. I drank more than I thought I did, and that's why I asked you to stay. That's it. Don't get any weird ideas.
Me? Nah. I wouldn't get my hopes up or anything.
Good! Now get out of here before she...
Hold up! Let me put something on first!
Oh, dear. You should have mentioned you were already celebrating. That's okay. Don't rush on my account. We'll talk later.
Both Adder and Sep remained frozen for a few more seconds as they heard her walk away.
Well, she seems nice.
Get out!
Adder jumped out the window half naked, somewhat more naked than he had first arrived, at least. It was only then Sep noticed a shaggy piece of blue and white fabric lying on her bed.
Hey! Come back here this instant! You...
Whew! I just left and she's missing me already.
A current has opened up somewhere, Sep's thoughts. It's about or something. I'll have to go back and look. Finders keepers, or what was Raoul all happy about? So keep the scarf, or like talk to the stepmom about probably her. I'm going to make a slight guess in that she's going to try to hook Seth up with whatever his name is there, the big guy. What are we doing? What have we done? I mean, this has got to be the most finders keepers. I mean, I got this is the most novella I've ever read. Honestly, this is not a visual novel. This is a visual novella. This is definitely like a very organ playing, like, what do they call them, soap operas in America. We call them soap operas. In Spanish, they call them novelas. A tall bridge rose from the sands, filled with guards to the brim. This memory started on a poignant note, or rather a pointy one.
One more step and I'll skewer you like a... Wait, boy, don't...
The guards became more distant blurs. Adder jumped the railings and plunged down the streets below, carrying the gazelle with him. One awning broke. 2 awnings broke. Fabric and rope whipped against them as they fell at full speed. Bad romance novel. It's okay. Like, I think the chapter 3 is kind of getting, like, it's... I would have to kind of, like, look at it as a whole, because I think, like, some of the memories are kind of weird that they kind of all know each other, even though when we started this, it didn't seem like they did, right? Even though they seem to have history, like, there's got to be a lack somewhere. Sepp closed her eyes, incapable of watching the scene anymore. A million thoughts rushed through her heads as they fell, and they were about how this was not the time nor the way she wanted to go.
No!
The fall came to a sudden, cushy end for her, at least.
Are we not dead?
Adder could only bend his neck to check, as the rest of his body was being crushed by hers.
We ain't? Oh, 3! We're alive!
We should be dead!
But we ain't! Woo!
Reinvigorated by the news, Adder grabbed Sip once more and jumped to his feet. Forgetting her weight altogether, they spun around and around. The world turned into a blur as they laughed and pranced like idiots. A dozen spins later, they fell back to the ground, exhausted and far too dizzy to take another step. They found a brief respite in each other's arms, gasping for air after their manic celebration left them breathless. Sepp tried to count to 10, focusing on her hooves and taking deep breaths, but nothing was getting rid of the exhilarating sensation. It was like all her baggage had flown away as they fell, and now she felt so very alive.
Oh, gods. Why do I want to do that again?
What was that thing you said the other day? You sure hit your head hard?
We're about, I'd say we had one interruption to the session, Ramir, and then we went out, we left, and then basically there was only one option, and that one option was basically no good, basically, and now we're kind of back doing more branches.
Just what are you made of, Adder? I'd swear that normal deer aren't supposed to ram straight through walls, or read gazes, or survive falls like this.
He's the main character. It's a superpower.
Who cares? All you gotta know is that Adder can do anything and more. You hear that, guards? You should have kept an eye on the one-eyed buck. Ha ha ha!
And here I thought you had lost your backbone.
Don't know about my backbone, but I nearly broke my tailbone because of you again. Give me back my cape, you thief.
Take it off me, then.
Sepp stretched her arms out and then laid back on the pavement. Bed eyes was a vastly insignificant term for the look she gave him, as she tentatively moved a hand towards the fabric covering her shirt.
What's wrong, Adder? Can't you untie a little knot?
Hey now! Don't go laughing at me because I'm so mad at you right now. Like, whoa, so mad. Can't stop thinking about all the things you've done to me.
Really? You don't sound very mad to me.
Oh, yeah? Yeah? You don't know just how mad you made me, Missy. I'm so mad. So mad. I could just...
Adder pressed his face against Sepp's, getting closer so that their noses touched.
So mad you could just leave me hanging.
So mad I could just go and do something for real dumb right now.
I mean, can it be dumber than jumping off a 5-story tall bridge?
That depends on where you stand on asking the gazelle way out of your league to let you kiss her again after swearing you ain't a horn-eater like 100,000 times and getting kicked out of her room in the morning, ma'am.
Her position of the debate was grabbing his face and softly drawing him in closer. There was nothing fancy about the kiss. It was, in fact, objectively bad, and even worse to watch from the outside. Adder's previous experience in romance, or rather his lack thereof, had been underscore the previous night, but it was made all the more obvious for the lack of wine to mitigate their quality standards.
This may be the smartest thing you've done in the time I've known you.
Cut me some slack here. You've only known me for like 2 days.
A year and 2 days.
See, now I'm gonna kiss you again just so you can't make fun of me.
He was wrong. She would make fun of him for that kiss, and many of the kisses afterwards, for they were honestly worse for his involvement. After all, history has never been any such thing as a deer born good at kissing. But that could be fixed easily. I'm keeping this one or he'll serve me well. Oh no. So we have been doing votes. Whoever says whoever makes the first selection gets it. Basically, there's not enough people here to do like a tally vote. And on top of that, there's a lot of branches to get through. So probably not spending too long on the choice screens would be a good idea. But obviously, if we've been through a choice already and all right, he said one. I'm keeping this one.
I'm
okay,
so
we did
dead.
this one.
I'm so dead. It's alright. I lived a good life. And I could say bye with a smile. Tell my friends I love them. And burn me with my purse for my boss figures out where all the missing rivets
let me go back. Okay, not that stupid. So Ramir, when you make a decision, we should write it out, because I just scrolled back and saw. Oh, there was actually a conflict between Not That Stupid and Knights. I think we went for Not That Stupid. It's not often that Adder gets to take a look at his back, much less while he's sweeping. The entrance of the temple would seem, however, that this memory started with someone staring intently from the distance. 2 people, actually.
Nice rack you have there, broom boy!
Oh, shucks! You really think so?
Oh yes, it's quite impressive. For dough!
Uh-oh.
Say what? You want to get down here and say that to my face?
Keep your head and walk away.
Huh? Seb, what you doing here?
Saving your neck, obviously. What do you think you're doing? Elbar won't lower himself to your level, but don't doubt for a second that he will send his guards after you if you provoke him.
I'm the one provoking him? Didn't you just hear what he said?
Oh, please. Can't you see? He's only insulting your looks because he doesn't have anything more meaningful to say about you. He thinks you're so weak that you will crumble hearing a shallow insult. Prove him wrong. Don't give him the satisfaction of seeing you flustered.
You know what? That's a for real good call. Yeah. This one of them mind-reading lessons of yours?
No, that's just how life is. If you don't want to have your cute little horns thrown in the dungeon, you do well to keep your feelings in check around those that hold more power than you. And just so you know, I like them short anyway.
For real? I mean, yeah, of course. How come I hadn't thought about this earlier? I bet he's the one feeling threatened by my horn size. You know what they say? The shorter the sticks, the longer the...
Hicks.
Does he have a death wish, or if only you knew? So this choice we have not made yet. raise those gates. If only he knew. Okay. I'm gonna write it down because otherwise I have a feeling I need to write it down. Wine, candlelight, and a distant music traveled up from the main hall to the upper floor. A setup like no other for a romantic evening. Coupled by a slightly inebriated monarch and a captain of the guard leaning against each other.
I will have you know, Sir Askadath, that you are exceedingly handsome.
Egad, a compliment from my princess. So refreshing and so rare. I feel like the sweetest fruit on a tree has fallen straight into my hands. What have I done to deserve such unusual kindness?
Well, I was thinking that you spent so many nights in my room, and yet your hands haven't wandered even once.
But of course, I am a knight before I am a man. Love is the prize and the contest, and I know that only defeat awaits if I act too hastily.
I feel that it's been quite long and proper now, however, and I'm afraid my heart is not quite as strong as a trained chevalier's.
I warn you, Joseph, I am known far and wide for my passion. My vigor knows no match in all of Akathor.
How curious. I have heard similar things about myself. Shall we try and see who's truly the best between us?
Do you truly dare? Very well, my dear. We shall burn together in the fiery pits of love. The ground will tremble with the potency of our embrace.
Wow. We're in the fiery pits of our love.
But not today.
Really? Elbar stippled his fingers.
I have a previous engagement. Next time, however, I will bring you the loveliest flowers and the fanciest incense, and we will have a night that will surpass your wildest maiden dreams. Until then!
Elbar scampered to his feet and hurled himself out of the room without any further explanation, nearly taking the door with him. And one might think that perhaps this was an offense, that leaving your lover in the heat of the moment would be off-putting to say the least, but no. Sepp remained very much unfazed. She was smirking to herself, in fact.
Knock, knock. Was that Sir Askadath running through the corridor just now?
I was just testing out a theory.
Theory? Oh dear, you're a dancer, not a scholar. Leave experiments to them and focus on doing your job instead of driving the clientele. Joseph, where do you think you're going?
I need to have my research peer-reviewed.
Oh, Elbar. Thread of thought was dissipating into something untraversable. Okay. Oh, okay, so we can actually leave now at any time. Good lord, this is going to take a while. I once managed to get the situation under control. I don't have time to read all this. Okay, so this
For
is
the last time, Adder, the wine was not poisoned.
Alright, so we're gonna go this way. So do you have a death wish? Current came more complex. Okay. He's not batting for that team. Oh no. Edler just likes her because she likes theater, I guess. The morning after. I believe...
Knock, knock, knock,
Yes,
Joseph.
okay, we did see
Open the
this
door. It's me.
Alright, so what is Ral all happy about?
Sepp, you see, darling queen, I don't want to hurry your grace, but I think that's the sun coming up your window. You sure you don't want to go grab some scissors?
Ugh, will you just shut up for a minute and let me concentrate? I'm almost done figuring out the knot.
Right. That's great and all, but I don't think my boss is gonna take I was kinda tied up for an excuse. Really though, saw my arm off if you got it. Just don't let me get to work late.
Jacif, guess who?
Oh, for the love of... Rel! Isn't there anyone else waiting for you to ruin their morning?
As a matter of fact, there is. So open up, sweetheart. I'm a very busy doe. And so is your patron.
Don't think you can come and demand my time whenever you feel like it. I'm busy as well. Far too busy to open up right now.
That's okay, love. I brought my keys this time.
Sep looked at Adder. Adder looked at the ropes. The ropes looked at Sep. The sound of the key struggling through the lock sent them both into a frenzy, strong enough to make Adder break free all on his own. Then it was time to panic. Sep turned the room on its head, wondering if there was a wardrobe tall enough to fit a doll deer in that was more deer than any other deer, but she had no such luck. She had, however, an abundance of oversized cushions. The door finally opened, revealing a doe with an apparently pleased expression, which threatened to break the ire at any moment. Miss Rochelle looked at left and right, clearly hoping to find something or someone. But she would never be suspicious. What would she ever be suspicious of when all Sep was doing was sitting on a pile of cushions with her cup of wine?
Dear, oh dear, would you look at that? Drinking so early in the morning. You look more and more like your father every day.
Sep took a long sip from her drink, trying to drown the dangerously uninhibited words that were forming in her throat. She left the cup on the ground and sat up slightly.
Where's Elbar? Didn't you say he was with you?
Oh, he was. He came by yesterday while you were out. We spent a lovely evening talking about you and his doubts about my legitimacy. Someone got into his head that I have usurped the throne, and that I'm not doing enough to protect you, apparently.
Protect what? My moral integrity? This isn't precisely a convent.
You're many, many things, dear, but subtle is not one of them. I know you've struck a deal of some sort with him.
But you're here because you don't know what.
I'll find out soon enough. You're 20 years too young to play me, Jacif. Now, would you be so kind to tell me what kept you from opening the door this time?
I was just trying to spite you.
You did great then. And the one who's going to pay is that naked buck you're hiding behind the...
I ain't naked, ma'am! See? I'm wearing a cape.
Miss Rochelle stared at the now revealed Adder for a solid minute. Then she moved her eyes towards Sep, who silently prayed for any benevolent god to end her life.
Can't say I've ever understood your taste in men, Jacif, but this one definitely bears the palm. Where did you find him? In a circus? Did the wandering horn eaters come to town?
Hey! I ain't... No.
Adder didn't finish that sentence, for all the evidence pointed to the contrary.
That's okay, sweetie. Better deer have fallen victim to Jacif's charms. Better looking at the very least.
The doe walked towards Adder with a huge smile on her face. Adder walked back slowly. Smiles like those had never been good news in his life.
Oh dear, what's that face for? Did she tell you something bad about me too?
No, ma'am! Never seen her do anything but sing your praises.
Sing your praises, he says. How charming. Let me guess. You're one of those naive country fawns that get corrupted by the glamour of the city and then never dare go back home. Just think what your parents would say if they saw you here.
For a moment, Miss Rochelle's eyelids drooped a little. For a moment, her words sounded a bit too honest.
Well, dear, if that's the case, you're far too good to die because of someone like her. That's why I'll be nice and give you a chance to turn your life back around. You have 5 seconds to run before I call the guards. 1.
Will you be all right?
Sep just pointed at the window, her face still covered with one hand.
2.
On the count of 3, Adder disappeared.
Well, he seemed like a nice enough sort. I bet you would have broken his heart one way or another.
Wait a second. I don't get it. Why was Adder tied?
He fell and got tangled up while they were knitting.
Oh, Adder. That kind of stuff happens to me a lot too, you know?
I certainly hope not. Kern has opened up somewhere. Sep's thoughts. Something about wanting to be left alone. I'm going to push him off a cliff, or I'm going to jump off a cliff. Okay, so basically whenever that thing pops up, then we can go back to one of the issues that we had earlier. What I would do if I was a real gamer is I would get out my notepad and just go like, and just basically find out the thread. So, alright.
So I tell him halfway from nowhere. Okay, gotcha. But in what direction? And the caravan driver looks me up and down with a weird face, shakes his head, and says,
That's the name of the place, you plunker. Halfway from nowhere.
Oh, come on. Don't take it out on his accent. It wasn't that hard to figure out. You were the one being thick.
You spend 2 days crossing the Kaib Rift without one drop of water in your canteen, and then tell me if you can figure out a word them Poodoos say. Know how long it took me to get there were asking me to come along?
I'll take your word for it. You'd know about unintelligible accents. What kind of place was halfway from nowhere anyway?
Oh, it's just one of those roadside inns. Just an inn, yep.
An inn. Halfway from nowhere.
You got it, ma'am. You should have seen the staff. They sure were friendly, but I was far too broke to afford the stay, so I just walked in for a minute to,
quench your thirst.
You want to hear about my neck next?
Bells began resonating all over the city center. A new day began.
Oh, darn, curfew's over. I gotta get ready for work, and we'll have to leave that story for the next time.
Say, Adder, would you take me with you?
To the inn?
No, to the steps, on a quest to nowhere at all. Aren't you always complaining about how awful it is living in the city?
Well, yeah, but I can't go and take you on an adventure when I got work to do. And my boss would come and drag me all the way back to Heirloom if she got to.
But I need you to take me out of here.
Can't you just go on your own?
Of course not. I need someone to blame when Miss Rochelle starts asking questions.
So what? You want to turn me into a pirate or something here? Captain Adder, the lady kidnapping horn eater.
You wouldn't be a villain. Think of it as a nightly rescue.
You got everything you'd ever need here. What the hell would I be rescuing you from?
That doesn't matter. Don't you remember how much fun we had escaping those guards? Imagine living like that every day.
That's what my life looks like already, and trust me, the world out there ain't nothing half as fun as you're making it sound. Following your dreams only sounds fun till you end up half naked in the slums, picking up chewed olive bones to make soup for two.
You are a bore.
But I'm a bore you adore.
Just take me away, or I just want to forget. So I'm going to jump off a cliff was more like a thing about her wanting to do what them jumping off the side thing was. Basically getting more excitement into her life. It was, so like the interesting thing about the things is they are sort of related to the direction that the story goes, but but it does end up being situation where what's it called? It ends up being a different situation or a different interpretation than what the words mean on the surface. All right. All right, I'm gonna type one in. If I type it out before you pick one, that'll be the one we do. 1, 2, 3. Ah. Current became more and more complex. Sad or change on the path. A mix of emotions, torn thoughts, memories missing too. I just wanted to be left alone. Oh, he's sad. Certain tactics game. Alright, jumped off the bridge. Alright, we did go through this one. I think he'll serve me well as the one we did not do.
Hey, Sip, so, I've been thinking real hard about that thing I said about being responsible and whatnot, so whew boy. I think I'm ready to take this step. Ma'am, will you be my wife?
Alright, I think we've done this one. Okay. Promising new ally. The truth is not no rest for the wicked. The day started with a promising invitation and a massive nuisance that attending it would be supposed for Sep. This was it, her first foray into the family business, heeding the whims of some dear Miss Rochelle, being parted around town like a prize, feeling the Patreon. No wait, she dreaded. Okay.
Ah, Jessif!
Okay, we did.
How have I longed to talk to you face to face like this? There's no greater distance than time, milady, when your company I lack. For if you were to travel beside me.
Okay, so these things do loop in on each other. So there's like some choices will lead you back to different things. So I just want to be left alone. I can't remember where, so we'll keep going. Leaps into the unknown, handful of growing tired of him.
Sip, you see, darling queen, I don't want to hurry your grace, but I think that's the sun coming up your window. You sure?
Ugh, will you just shut up for a minute and let me concentrate? I'm almost done figuring out the knot.
I'm gonna push him off a cliff. Control or tab skips what you've seen. I'm kind of decent about remembering what we've seen and what we haven't seen. Like, you came here a little late, Ramir, but we did see the beast, like, thing with her getting scared and all that. Alright, push him off a cliff. Quietude, just complete utter silence. Heavy, very heavy, about as thick as a sheet covered the entirety of Sep's room. Silence from the girl meticulously moved and a flattened bead of glass over every single squiggly line of letters in the book. Silence from the boy sitting at her side in the bed, hands intertwined over his caved mouth and over his caved-in stomach as he stared at the ceiling. His little drumming, or his occasional whistling, vanished in all the encompassing silence.
I'm sorry, I thought you'd like that.
I didn't.
Sep licked her thumb and turned the page. It was like the slowest page turn in history.
Did I make you mad?
Not at all. I appreciate your initiative.
Adder's gaze traveled to the other side into the room, repelled by the tone of her words. He barely dared to look at her ears.
You look mad.
I have been known to look mad on occasion.
Having two people that could read minds together in a single room, avoiding each other's gaze, was foreboding to say the least.
Well, as long as you ain't mad.
The sound of the book sternly closed echoed all over the room.
I thought you'd be smart enough to figure out how I feel, if only barely.
So you are mad!
No, she's not mad. She's upset.
Of course I'm mad!
Oh, there we
How
go.
could I not be? You've been taking too many liberties lately, but this is the last straw. How dare you go behind my back like that after all I've done for you? Ah, the nerve you have!
On my nerves is where you're getting. I already apologized. What else do you want me to do?
You call that an apology? You haven't even started to grovel.
Say what? You really think I'm gonna bow my head and kiss your hooves? I done begged plenty in my life, but even I got some pride, ma'am. Adderson, son of Gerfather of the Upper Field, is a whole lot of things, but he ain't no ass kisser.
And what exactly is Adderson of the Upperfield if not an ass-kisser taking advantage of my generosity? I have little use for anything else.
Adder extended a finger, posing to reply, but he immediately curled it back and pressed his lips together, realizing his own urgent lack of a new worthwhile retort.
You know what? Fine. Guess I can't keep my true identity a secret forever.
The seriousness of his expression managed to throw Sep off ever so slightly.
You want to know who I am? Well, listen up and listen well. I'm a knight-to-be. Royal blood runs in my veins because I was abandoned in a farm in the middle of nowhere by my real parents. Only after coming of age did I find out I was, in fact, a hero destined to save all of Akazor, nay, all of Duck-Nah from ruin. And get the girl while at it.
Adder struck a pose as he finished talking. He huffed through his nose and then discreetly turned his head to see Sep's reaction.
You're lucky I have a soft spot for your lies, Adder. I'm going to give you extra credit for having such a knightly name. Now, tell me a better one.
Say what? Ma'am, coming up with stories like these ain't nothing to sneeze at. I'll just tell you another tomorrow.
Bold of you to assume you will have a tomorrow with me.
Sep opened the window and folded her arms, looking rather serious.
I've been a gracious host so far, but my time is precious and short, and you have far overextended your stay beyond what's acceptable. If you're not going to do what I say, then I don't have anything else to say to you. You have taken me for granted long enough, Adder.
Well, nothing to do about it then. Ah, darn my luck. Guess you won't get to hear about all my mighty made-up master plans to become a knight and get you to fall for me. Curses. They were so funny, too. Like that one time I disguised myself as 10 stags trying to fight me and ended up getting knocked out by my boss. Or that time I hid inside a barrel and convinced a guard I was a talking barrel of ale. And don't even get me started on the neck thing.
Sep hesitated for a moment as she watched him climb down.
Fine. Let's make this a game, then. Come back tomorrow with another story of yours. If you manage to make me laugh at least once, I will let you stay by my side one more day. If you don't, I will make you pay the extent of my services in full.
Can I pay in rivets this time?
Sep slammed the window shut. Dangerous situations. Alright, I'm too soft on him, or Ral doesn't need to know. $1,000 Adder Knights. So this one we have not made a decision on yet, so I'll give you some time, and if not, then we'll pick one. Okay. So write it down. But
And then Eligred grabbed me by the neck, and I heard this loud friggin' crack. And suddenly, I could do this.
Adder twisted the upper half of his neck and then tilted it some impressive 60 degrees to the side.
Stop! Stop! That's too gross.
So anyway, Megan's been going a little better since that happened.
Adder took a date and popped it into his mouth, chewing loudly.
You know, every time you tell me about your life, I try to think about it, but I just can't imagine what being so hungry that you have to beg must feel like. I mean, I understand the concept, of course. I just can't wrap my head around the idea of not having food.
Funny you'd mention that. I've been thinking hard too lately, and I realized that you're really big for a gazelle, and
I know that there's a 30-second delay. I'm giving you guys time.
And you're really perceptive for a row.
Darn it, I wasn't done talking. I was gonna say that I'm always here drinking with you and cramming food down my throat, but I ain't never seen you take one bite.
Of course not. That wouldn't be proper of me.
What do you mean, proper?
Barhan Protocol says that a gracious host should not eat in front of a guest. Your wealth belongs to those that don't yet trust you, and your trust belongs only to those that would share their wealth back. I can't eat in front of you. You're not my equal.
Say what? Come on, you know that if I got a biscuit, half would be yours. I can't exactly bring you a fruit salad, but I could try and smuggle out some taters from the forge or something next time.
I don't know what a tater is, but I can already tell I wouldn't touch one with a stick. Keep your food, Adder. I don't want it.
So you're saying you don't trust me?
I am, yes, but that's not the...
No, that's all right, ma'am. You don't gotta explain. I get it. I ain't done nothing to deserve that or any of this, really. Guess you were right when you said I've been taking you for granted. Mr. Bard always says no one's kind without a reason. And you've been so awfully nice to me, I forgot to ask yours.
I have told you 1,000 times, haven't I? I'm just returning the favor.
But I didn't do you no favor. I just hollered in your general direction and then fell on my face and gave myself a big bump in the head. I couldn't do nothing to protect you. If that guard hadn't gone and helped you, you'd...
Sepp placed her fingers on Adder's lips, silencing him.
Your intervention was as endearing as it was futile, but that does not change what you did. You charged in headfirst, risking your own life to stand up for someone you'd never even met before. I don't think you can fathom how rare that sort of heroism is in this city, Adder.
Sepp's index finger floated briefly on the air before landing on Adder's nose.
You're right in one thing, however. I'm not as selfless as you are. I did have ulterior motives for returning the favor, though nothing nearly as nefarious as you're making it sound, I assure you.
Sepp's gaze was drawn to her mirror.
When I mentioned what happened, you think of one night 1 year ago, but what I think of is 1 year of nights wondering if you had seen me that night, if you had noticed the horns on my head, if you only stood up for me because you hadn't.
Sepp, I know my folks ain't exactly kind to yours, but...
No, you know nothing at all.
I swear I'd...
You what? You would positively, absolutely do the same for anyone? I can't believe you, Adder. You lie as you breathe. How could I possibly believe a single thing you've said to me? That's why I won't rest easy until I can get inside your head and find out myself.
Then, that's it? That's the whole reason you've been so good to me? What are we doing when you get your answers?
There's nothing else I could possibly want from you, but I can't deny that your stories have been as entertaining as you promised they be.
Yep, that's Adderson for you. Real entertaining buck.
Adder tried to smile, but his brow didn't listen to him. His eyes refused to meet Sep's anymore. To his surprise, Sep grabbed a pastry and shoved it in her mouth.
This doesn't mean that I'm not willing to give you a vote of confidence while I reach my own conclusions.
A dumb, affectionate smile creeped on Adder's face as he watched her chew away whatever pretensions of dignity she had left.
You're sweeter than stolen honey, you know that?
Shut up and pass me those pastries.
Absolutely, ma'am. Open wide. Here comes the caravan. Woo! Hey, hold up. We're supposed to share. Don't just eat all of them. Sap!
We drank a lot that night. Will you trust me back? Okay, we can't go any further. Just want to be left alone. We drank a lot that night. You're trying to get me killed. Horns. I was having a boringly uneventful melody with Elabar. City argues so pointless. Royal Pathway. Okay, this is the one where he's doing the whole thing. Does he have a death wish? If only he knew. I think we did this, both of those. If only he knew. I have If Only You Knew. I think Death Wish was before that. But I don't know. We'll select that one.
You sure you're alright?
I told you! The wine went to my head. Nothing else. I'm fine now.
For real? I don't mind spending another night making you company if you need it. Just ditch the ropes this time.
Don't even joke about that. I can't imagine what Rel would do to you if she found you here.
Well, that'd be the case if she found Adder. But if she found Sir Adder Cinda the Upper Field, loyal servant of Yasif.
Welcome to the Desert Rose, my lord.
Go.
Stay.
Miss Rochelle advanced towards the two sobering idiots, trudging right through the mess of a room Sep perpetually lived in. Adder was now firmly pinned against the lattice, covering the balcony that he always used as an entrance.
You know, on second thought, I can almost see the appeal in that pitiful sunken face of yours. You look so obedient and innocent, like you wouldn't hurt a fly. Oh dear, I bet you didn't even realize you were intruding on a private commercial transaction.
You could bet your farm on it, ma'am. I'd have to know what any of those words means first.
Good, because you wouldn't like what we do with intruders around here.
I'm sure I wouldn't, ma'am. Raul?
It's Rochelle for you. Miss Rochelle.
Miss Rochelle! The Miss Rochelle! Of course! Sep always tells me how much she loves
Sep!
Stop talking, please.
Well, I'll be Sep. Now that's a name I didn't expect to hear again. Sep. How cute. Oh no, sorry. I shouldn't laugh. This is far more serious than I thought. I'm afraid that just kicking you out of a window won't cut it anymore. Say, Sep, who should I tell first? Elbar or Talid? Oh, I saw that face you made just now. You've met Talid, haven't you, Adder? You've heard the things he does to the people he doesn't like, right? It's settled then.
Wait, please, anything but that. Don't tell Talid, Rel. I beg you. This isn't Adder's fault. It's mine. I keep asking him to come back. I just manipulated him into thinking that I needed him, just like the rest. But he won't come by ever again. I swear by Heeeeead.
Oh, honey, what a selfless declaration. I'm moved by your love. I truly am. But your tears and your words aren't valuable enough to buy my silence. Hurry up. The negotiations are about to close.
I'll tell you everything I know about Elbar, all the plans I've made with him. I'll do anything you ask of me, but please, let Adder go unharmed.
Now that's more like it. Ooh, I can just tell you've been keeping something really juicy to yourself. Oh, you're still here?
I ain't leaving till my queen tells me to.
Oh, how adorable. You found yourself a hayseed knight. Too bad it's useless. I'm the highest authority here, love, not her. That's why I can do this and she can't. Guards!
Alright. Thread dissipated. Okay. We did go through one and we drank a lot last night. Alright, the bargain. Similar to a very objective person. I try to acknowledge a gap of my skills. No analogy. I want to be fair to myself, not act once in life. I feel I have strength to force myself when the time comes. I believe we've seen this one. Alright. I do believe we did I'm too soft of them, so we are going to do Ral doesn't need to know.
You sure you're all right?
I told you, the wine went to my head, nothing else. I'm fine now.
For real? I don't mind spending another night making you company if you need it. Just ditch the ropes this time.
Okay, this is the one we just saw. Elbar's passion. Wine, candlelights, and it has been up fall, so I know that man even completed by a slight inebriated monarch and a captain of the guard leaning against each other.
I will have you know, Sir Askadath, that you are exceedingly handsome.
I believe this is the one where he runs out.
Heeeeead! A compliment from my princess. Yep. So refreshing and so rare.
Deserve.
And then Eiligrad grabbed me by the neck, and I heard this loud friggin' crack.
Did see.
And suddenly, I could do this.
Fawns.
Hey, Sep, so, I've been thinking real hard about that thing I said about being responsible and whatnot, so Ma'am, will you be my wife?
We did see this one. He drank a lot that night. Madrill's face.
So I tell him halfway from nowhere. Okay, gotcha. But in what direction? And the caravan driver looks me up and down with a weird face, shakes his head, and says,
"That's the name of the
Just
place,
take me
you
away is
plonker.
what we did. So we'll
Halfway."
do this one. Okay, can't get to that one. Very long night.
You sure you're all right?
I told you, the wine went to my head, nothing else. I'm fine now.
For real? I don't mind spending another night making you company if you need it. Just ditch the rope.
Why is that one still red if we already did that one? Okay. So, I just want to be left alone. So...
Honey, please, let me in.
Hey, Sep, so, I've been...
So that one just goes to that one.
We have more than...
No. The problem is that you...
Mom? Mom!
Okay.
No,
It doesn't work like that, Mom. You have to...
Sep, you see, darling queen, I don't want to hurry your grace, but I think that's the sun coming up your window. So I tell him halfway from nowhere. Okay, gotcha. But in what...
Okay, I can't get through there. Alone. Okay, don't want to be left alone. There we go. Duh.
Oh, honey, come on. You can't stay mad at your poor brother forever.
Sep stared at the window with such an intensity it seemed to set it on fire. It was dark out, darker than ever. Even in a long dune swoon night, she had been waiting for someone who wasn't allowed to visit. A gust of wind pushed the window in the balcony against its frame, letting her down once more. Ada was supposed to arrive 2 hours prior, and he had never been late in this whole season. Not even Miss Rochelle's threats could have made him step away. Sep was sure of it.
What if something's happened to him?
Sep's gaze was drawn to the window once more. She had seen Adder slip through it dozens of times now, but she never tried any such feat herself. Even though she lived on the first floor, the ground below looked like an abyss for someone afraid of falling. And yet, what other options did she have? Walking out the door and pretending that last night's conversation had never happened? Mustering courage from the depths of her heart, she kept locked away for years. Sep headed to the balcony and glared at the woodwork covering it. She shoved the window open and took a deep breath, using all her willpower to stick one tentative leg out of the balcony.
I must strongly discourage you from resting your hooves on the frame, my son. The lattice may not be able to withstand your weight, and I am standing underneath.
The scare almost made Sep tip forward and fall into the street. She quickly recoiled and ended up on the balcony instead.
Who's there?
My name is Hojab Amet, descendant of Hojab the Great Cartographer, steward of the Asgadath household in Erlum. It is an honor to be at your service, Jasif.
The flippancy of his voice was not lost on Sep.
Did Sir Asgadath send you?
Affirmative, my son. I have been charged with the peculiar task of protecting your room, as Sir Asgadath was led to believe that the Jasif would feel safer with a fellow Barhan civilian watching over her window than any of his trained deer guard.
Well, you are doing fantastic. Congratulations on your promotion. Go ahead and watch my window all you want. I have places to go.
I'm afraid I cannot let you do that, my son. The orders were, paraphrasing, make sure no one comes in. And I believe it's strongly implied I should make sure that you remain inside your room while I carry out the task.
Are you open to discussing semantics?
Negative, my son. Sir Asgadath discourages the pursuit of intellectual matters for the duration of my shift.
How about a little break, then? You could come up here and relax a little if you'd like. Share some wine, perhaps?
Negative, my son. I am not allowed to consume alcohol for the duration of my shift.
Tea, then?
Only if it's hemlock, my son.
Hemlock? Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize you were a eunuch.
I am under no obligation to prove the size of my virility just to entertain your provocations, my son.
Are you always like this?
Affirmative, my...
Ugh!
Sep slammed the window shut. She would have walked out of the front of the door with a high head and quiet steps. Oh.
Where do you think you're going, honey?
I'm going to take a stroll.
Oh, no. I'm afraid that long walks under the moonlight are no longer part of the menu for you. You're far too precious to be wandering around like a ghost now, future Jasif of Asgadath. That's why I decided to put you in a casual encounters diet so you can fit in the wedding dress.
Jasif of Asgadath? Then Sep and Elbar!
Focus, Lynn.
I'm not going to see anyone. I just need to leave for 5 minutes.
Then I'm sure you can bring the escort Sir Asgadath has dispensed for your security. I hear he's a great conversationalist.
You knew about... Wait. You told Elbar, didn't you? You filthy liar. You promised you wouldn't tell on us.
I said I wouldn't tell Talid. I wouldn't want to see that wretched little fawn drawn and quartered because of your strange taste in men. But I wouldn't dare extend the same treatment to Elbar. He is your patron. Our patron, and your fiance. Oh, don't make that face, sweetheart. I only told him that some miserable buck tried to sneak into your room a couple of nights ago. Nothing else. He'll be fine. And so will you. You can find yourself a new friend as soon as you finish paying your dowry.
Of all the miserable things that you've done, this is...
Haven't I made myself clear? You are grounded, Sep. Go to your room.
Sep's mouth opened and closed as Miss Rochelle turned around, but no sound came out. The door was closed and locked from the outside, but even if it hadn't, Sep had no will to fight back. A dozen cushions heard her scream of frustration and impotence as she realized for the first time after all these years that she didn't even own her own key to her own room. The scream continued, and she finally understood why she would soon be forced out of the only place she'd ever known as home, both her only haven and the origin of all her fears. Her voice broke into sobs as she realized the effect her absence would have. I'll run every time, or you'll get yours. Yes! Wicked stepmother. Classic character. Arranging a marriage with a thing. I guess now we could see why he wanted the guy hanged, right? Alright, we got yours. So I'll write it down in length so that way I'll... Oh, nope. That was the wrong answer. A gilded cage. So this is where, she's locked. Yep. Alright, I'll run every time. Alright, so this goes back to this one.
Hey, Sip, so, I've been thinking real hard about that.
Drank a lot that night. Whining.
I'm so dead. I'm so dead.
No, that wasn't it. Hold on. Let's go back to whining and try the other choice.
I'm so dead.
Sep came to, little by little, feeling tremendously disoriented with every passing second. Her eyes felt red and dry, her nose was stuffed, and judging by the warm fur brushing her face, she was surely being embraced by someone, something with hands made for hugging. Sep shifted awkwardly in place, trying to find a way to turn around that wouldn't involve gorging someone with her horns. First thing she saw was Adler's face, sadly turned away from hers. The second, the sea, vast and mighty, blending into the darkness far beyond. And the third, the palace, commanding respect on all who saw it. She had to do a little bit of mental backtracking to remember that she had taken a nap while Adler waited for her inebriation to pass. Cried herself to sleep, most likely. Her sudden bout of embarrassment went thankfully unnoticed by her companion, who merely seemed happy to exist and have her in his arms.
Beautiful, ain't it?
The sea, the palace, or me?
All three? But especially you, no doubt.
Liar. I wish you'd look at me the way you're looking at the Alcazar.
Hey, can you blame me? I mean, it's a real darn killer for a building. Look at those curves. I'd be struck dead if I wasn't watching it with the prettiest gal in all of Ireland.
Shame on you, trying to flatter your way out of this conversation. You don't intend to share your obsession with the palace, do you?
Nah, nah. No way, ma'am. I'd never hear the end of it if I told you.
Blame me all you want. It's clear to me that you're just so afraid of telling the truth that you'd rather keep lying forever.
A skeptical, one-eyed squint and a frown followed this provocation, Adder jutted his jaw out as he let his chin rest on Sep's head, asserting, whatever resemblance of dominance a boy like him could ever have.
You didn't hear this from me, but, rumor has it that a prairie buck from down yonder the steppes ran to the city a few seasons back. He sold all his clothes along the way, and the new ones cost him an eye, but here he was at last.
Not the leg, though.
The ones who know him said, oh, they said to me he got the silliest dream they'd ever heard. They said he wanted to become a knight. A knight of all things. And maybe you don't know, because he didn't know it either back then, but farmhands don't become knights. They become good-for-nothing, stuck in a city where no one takes them seriously, watching the place where important things happen, and knowing they'll never get to set a hoof inside.
A poignant tale, no doubt. Though, knowing you, it can hardly be the whole truth.
You can tell? I mean, it's a truth. Closer to the real thing than the story about the talking barrel of ale, that's for sure. But the one true truth's that I got far too little on my plate to worry about dreams and far too much to spend time open. This dumbass I'm telling you about has been gone for a while now.
I see. Well, do let me know if you ever find him. I will make sure to make him part of my personal entourage once I become queen.
All right, that's a good one. Queen of the gazelles.
Does it look like I'm joking to you?
You ain't?
Sep turned her head towards the palace. She sank her fingers into the sand, trying to placate an ire that always lay dormant at the bottom of her heart.
No one may take you seriously in the city, Adder. Perhaps they looked at your horns and laughed back in your town. But not a day has gone by since I was born where someone hasn't looked down on me for mine. Not even when Mom was there to defend me. Do you know what it's like to live a life without anyone to call your equal? To know that all I can realistically aspire to is becoming some horn-eater's mistress for as long as I'm beautiful? Just to die alone because no sane gazelle would take a doe wannabe for a wife? Is it really so dumb to dream of a life where I have the power to set the score straight?
I'm sorry, Yusif, I didn't know.
Of course you didn't know. You're a lame one-eyed excuse for a gaze reader and a liar. And I didn't expect any better.
He was good enough, at the very least, to recognize when someone was lashing out at him for a lack of better way of expressing their feelings.
I know it don't mean much, but if you're so worried about the future, I still mean what I said that time. I could take you if you want. Then we could save up some cash and get a field somewhere, and I mean, I can't imagine thinking you don't look pretty for a single day in my life, so...
And become almost septuate wife of Adder, the roe resigned to marrying a gazelle? Spend the rest of my life raising your fawns while I pretend I don't notice the way farmers look down on me? I'll pass. Thank you. Besides, I know that eager gleam in your eye, Adder. I've known many deer like you before. You just want me because you haven't known anyone else's touch. It won't last forever. That much I can foresee.
All right, what if, and this is just an if, what if all those stories I told you night after night were a little bit true? What if I only wanted to be a knight to get the kind of power that'd let me protect the people I love? That'd mean I get you a little bit then, right? And if I get you, well, maybe it's because I like you more than just your body and the way you make me feel. Maybe I end up falling for those little bits of warmth I see behind your cold blue eyes.
You can be quite the poet when you want to.
And I can be quite the knight when I got to. Just let me prove it to you, my queen.
Sep's first turned red as a tomato. Her lip trembled slightly as she made an effort to keep her composure.
You do realize that there will always be others, correct? This is not, and has never been, something exclusive to me.
That's all right with me. I got 20 years of experience working as a freelancer.
And don't expect any special treatment just because you're my favorite. I would lay with a Macadar if that took me a step closer to the throne.
That just means you'll be keeping the bed real warm for me.
Are you really okay with this?
I don't think you'll believe me if I tell you you're one of the nicest people I've met in this whole city, and it still sounds like an improvement over my whole life, so let me just say this instead. I love you, Sep. Please let me stay with you.
Idiot! Don't think I can't tell you're trying to attack now that I'm drunk.
Who, me? Adderson, son of Gerfod of the upper field, taking advantage of a poor, defenseless lady to confess his love. You offend me, ma'am. I'm wounded. Wounded, I say. A knight should never announce his love expecting a reply. But I ain't even a squire, so you can go ahead and admit that you want me at least.
I want you to shut up.
There's only one way to make me do that.
Handful of sand in his mouth wasn't precisely the idea Adder had in mind, but it worked just as well. Wait. Okay, I'll have to go back. My night. It's not often one could find Sep pacing back and forth around her room. She was usually more laid back, meaning she'd only lift a finger if she absolutely had to once she was done dancing for the day. But tonight she couldn't stay still. There was someone waiting for her. It was her only chance. She absolutely had to meet him. She would sneak out no matter what the cost. The back door that the servants used was right there, just a few steps more and she could...
Trying to sneak out again, dear?
Sep balled her hand into a fist, just inches away from the door handle. She breathed deeply and turned around.
I'm not trying to sneak out. I'm leaving this place.
Well, that's dramatic. Are you leaving for a night? A year? Unlike you, I can't know what people are thinking if they don't tell me, dear.
You really want to know what I'm thinking? You want me to tell you how much I hate you one last time? Fine. This is the last time you see me bowing my head before you, Ral. I won't let you decide ever again what my own good is. I won't let you steal the things I love from me anymore. Can't you see that you've made my life a living nightmare?
Yes, you look like the very image of suffering. Whatever have I done to be so cruel to you? Haven't I given you everything? Haven't I taught you everything I know?
You've taken everything from me. My culture, my skills, my name. You said that you would raise me to be the woman Mom wanted me to be, but all you ever did was keep me locked and complacent so you could use me as your pawn. But it's over. I'm done with your little games.
Sep turned back again towards the door, ready to open it. It was locked.
You really think I'm the heartless one here, Sep? Tell me, did you ever consider how I suffered when your mother died? I loved her. I knew her better than any of you could ever have. And yet I had to be the first to get over her death to protect you. We should have, could have been there for each other. But you pushed me away when I couldn't be Thar. You pushed me away when I couldn't be Geoff or Talid or Ilagrab. You push me every time I try to be there for you. And then you cry because you feel alone. But that's okay, isn't it? In the end, we're just two lonely women obsessed with being loved by those who look down on us. After all, we've both lived our lives putting someone on a pedestal. It makes sense.
Miss Rochelle's eternal grin vanished. The woman who taught Sep how to smile when everything was falling apart grimaced, but only for a moment.
Oh, look at me rambling like an old woman when you have other things to do. Can you do me one last favor before you leave, dear? I think I left the front door open, but I'm exhausted, and you know I look like a raisin without my beauty sleep. Go and lock it for me, will you?
Miss Rochelle deposited a brass rose-shaped key in Sep's hands. Then she turned her back on the gazelle and began walking towards the stairs that led to the first door. Sep stared at the key for what felt like an eternity. Unbelieving, disconcerted, and skeptical.
I know you're not doing this out of kindness, Ral. You just hate seeing that you're losing, don't you? You want to watch me ruin my life and Adder's and be there to say, I told you, when I have to drag my tail back.
Dear, I've only asked you to lock the door. The rest is all up to you.
What am I doing?
You look distant today, babe. Is something the matter?
I was just thinking about the last time we walked together like this. You mentioned that you would have liked to become an actor if your life had gone differently, remember? I'm afraid that I have been plagued by what-ifs ever since. Say, Sir Askadath, does your heart still long for a life beyond these walls when you know that it can't possibly be better than what you have? Do your dreams haunt you as well when you can't fall asleep?
Dreams? Ah! Perish the thought! Dreams are for the idle. I am a man driven by objectives, and I have spent all my life working towards a single, all-encompassing goal. Proving myself to one man, my father. But my father had another son. A legitimate son. A boy who was inferior to me in every regard, from swordcraft to wordcraft to looks. But he was the spitting image of the deer whose approval I so desired. He came to be a mirror reflecting everything I hated about myself. My hatred grew and grew until it was strong enough to turn a blunt sword into a mace, to disfigure a deer with a single misplaced blow. I didn't mean to do it. I swore 1,000 times that it was an accident, but who in their right mind would listen to a fratricidal bastard? A life yearning to be someone worthy of the name I had been given, broken in mere seconds. I was banished, forced to join a military academy and heirloom like a damned merchant's son. But even in my exile, I still sought to appease my father. I hoped, no, I dreamed of being allowed to return home.
So ironically, him, Elbar, and Adder have something in common, and that is that they got in trouble for kicking that guy's butt.
Is there really no way to undo your punishment? Perhaps you could appeal to your father and ask him to...
He can't do anything anymore, gods damn it! My father is no longer among us! He died a hero last year fighting the Makadar hordes far to the south. And with him all those pointless dreams where I was forgiven and allowed to return to the hearth of Askadath. In his tragic death I found a boon. I have nothing to prove anymore. I have no reason to live my life in any way but the one I choose. I am, dare I say, free in my confinement. My fate has become mine, in earnest, and I choose to say, screw fate! I do not speak of gods or written destinies, if not in jest, Jasif. I learn from the words of the great masters I've witnessed. If a fiction wrought by the mind of a commoner can conjure some resemblance of purpose in this meaningless world, then I shall make my life the greatest play!
So what role do I play in your script, Master Askadath?
You play as yourself. As a valiant knight, my story calls for a princess. And you truly are everything I could seek in one. Graceful, literate, and laughably controversial. I spent years looking before I found you, but at last, our love shall be the subject of 1,000 gossips.
Life lived to leave an impression upon the onlookers. What meaning is there in making an effort if no one can tell you made it?
See, Jasif, you understand me! You may not be an actress, but you know your public. You command the scene when you dance. I command the citizens with my guards. We are one and the same in the end. Two crowd pleasers torn away from the stage. I have indeed spent many nights fretting about the objectives my future shall hold. And I believe I have found just the perfect development for my character in the next act. Our heroic knight, Elbar, rescues Jasif, the last princess of Bassacursed, from the clutches of her evil stepmother. He offers her refuge in his palace, and, madly in love with each other, they decide to marry and live happily ever after.
Tell me about this happily ever after, sir. What does a happy life look like to you?
I'm not sure. We throw feasts and have fawns. Well, fawns are a stretch. We couldn't have fawns together, but I will find myself a second wife who can bear them. Maybe a third wife for good measure. You all will be united by the love and gratitude you feel towards me.
Sep's gaze firmly fixed on the blue horizon beyond the walls.
Why do you hesitate, Jasif? I'm offering you the biggest role you will have in your career.
It's truly an outstanding offer, isn't it? I don't mind sharing, and I'm not so stupid as to demand you make me part of your house. It would be reckless of me not to take you up on your proposal. So, why indeed?
I don't know. Like here's the interesting thing. It's like she literally told Adder, it's like, I'm gonna do things with other people if it gets me power, and like he's like, sure, whatever, and now she's like been given the same offer, and it's like from this guy, like he's saying, well, I'm gonna do things with multiple ladies, and then she's like, you know what I mean? Be consistent. No, life's not about consistencies. That's what makes it dramatic and interesting, right?
There are two types of actors in this world, Jasif. The pragmatic and the romantic. Those who play anything and seek success and glory at all costs, and those who will always favor a smaller role they feel more connected to.
And he just said what I just said. Basically, it's me and get like be the princess you always wanted to be, or it's Adder and like and you have to take the smaller role.
We have no control over which characters speak to us, romantics. But an actor is an actor at the end of the day. We play our roles, like them or not, and we try to make the best of them. That's the only way we can keep moving forward. Perhaps you are a romantic at heart as well.
Albar sent a smile her way, and it's probably the kindest expression he had ever made in his life.
I can't even dream of helping my cause at this point, but I hope you will allow me to do right by yours. Let me know when you have decided.
With that, he sent his cape flying and walked away. Am I allowed to want, or is it all just an act? Comfortable yet tortured life is a good idea too. Like that's sort of the life she's living right now with Rochelle, right? Like, yeah, she's got nice cushions. Yeah, she's got nice food. All right, so it's not often one could find Set pacing back and forth around her room. She's usually kind of meaning that she'd only lift a finger if she absolutely... Wait, I think I've seen this one.
Trying to sneak out again, dear?
You look distant today, babe.
Oh wow, that one just circled.
I was just thinking
that one
about
actually
the
literally,
last time we
okay,
walked
that one
together
literally.
like this. You mentioned
Okay.
that you would have liked to be...
So, okay, and then that's more complex, okay. So, that one literally looped. Like, I have not seen a loop before, but that one did loop. So basically, when we selected your choice, it went back to the two scenes. Basically, back. This is like Chutes and Ladders, only with like what's it called? This is Chutes and Ladders. So forget life, go on adventures. So what was it? A thrilling escape. Okay, no, it was not that one.
I'm so dead. I'm so...
Ah, here we go.
You look distant today, babe. Is something the matter?
Okay, so the new scenes that do show up are that. So Break Free is... So this is probably her, yep, going into the thing.
You look distant today,
Okay,
babe.
yep.
Is something the matter?
Okay. So those are just the two new things. So, adventure?
So I tell him halfway from nowhere. Okay, gotcha. But
you look distant today, babe. Is something the matter?
Forget my life, let's go on an adventure. A thrilling escape. The morning morning after, the one I chubbed, the long silence. So a thrilling escape, maybe?
Hey, Sip, so,
It's not that one. Like me, don't open that door. Horns, Albert's passion, deserve, Fawn's adventure, the proposal. Let's try the proposal.
You look distant today, babe. Is something the matter?
Oh, the proposal, I guess, is just that one. Gilded cage. I'll run every time. No, that was not.
hey, Sip, so,
I'm going in circles. Forget my life. Go on adventures.
We have more than enough money to.
Mom? Mom!
Oh, honey, come on. You can't stay mad at your poor brother forever.
We have more than enough money to keep another child. That.
Mom? Mom!
Yeah, there's something whining the morning after. Like I'm actually just
Focus on your
going
breathing.
like
In.
Sip, you see, darling queen, I don't want to hurry your grace, but I think that's the sun coming up your. So I tell him halfway from nowhere. Okay, gotcha. But in what direction? And the caravan driver looks me up and down with a weird.
You look distant today, babe. Is something the matter?
I am stuck.
Hey, Sip, so,
That's a dead end. Like I have to like actually have to start writing this freaking down. Venture, fawns, deserve.
And then Eligrad grabbed me by the neck and I.
Can't go further.
You look distant.
I was just thinking about the last time we.
Yeah, and then this goes back to
You look
that.
distant.
I was just thinking about the.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'll be right back. So we'll get through this journal thing tonight, and then we'll stop there. So break free is basically break free is basically a dead end here. Gilded cage. Step stare at the windows and fire. I'll run every time. Okay.
I'm so dead. I'm.
Okay. That
You
one's
look distant today, babe.
and so that one went really long. But I think Gilded Cage is broken there. It's a very long night. Okay, so a very long night does the... So that one just goes to a dead end. Proposal. This one is the...
You look
music,
distant
yep.
today, babe. Is something the matter?
So like these all loop in on each other.
So I tell him halfway from nowhere. Okay, gotcha.
I thought you'd be hiding something, but no matter how much I try to drive you away, you you keep proving me wrong.
I don't think I've
Just
seen
like
this one.
that. Why won't you leave me alone, you bore? You are not allowed to be this nice to me.
Sep, put that cup down. You're squeaking
Yeah,
like
I've
a
not seen
barkeep's
this
rag.
one. We've stumbled into it.
Damn it, Adder. Nothing you say makes sense. But you're a good dear. Your behavior has been absolutely irreproachable, and I haven't been up to the mark. I'm so sorry.
You are?
I don't know. Wait. Oh, you should read my gaze and tell me. Oh, I can already hear your voice saying, well, yeehaw, my melancholy biscuit. You're just a little sad on the septude, as always.
I'll make like I didn't hear that if you tell me what the haze and almost something's supposed to be.
Almost shut up.
All right, that's it. We're gonna go and take a stroll for you spill your guts all over the carpet. Come on up. Holy horns! You're heavier than the last time.
It is you who is weaker.
Sneaking out of Seb's room was generally a lot easier without having to carry its owner over her shoulder like a sackcloth. Far away from the little hubs of nightly entertainment, Illyrium looked positively dead. Curfew rendered the streets almost pitch black, a strainer that only left those who knew how to navigate its narrow alleyways in the dark.
Hey, where are we going?
Didn't you say I never take you anywhere? Well, no more. Today, I'm gonna show you my favorite spot in all of Heirloom.
That sounds boring. Let's do something more exciting. Let's elope. No. Let's jump off a bridge again. Ooh, make it 2 bridges.
Ma'am, it just so happens dear old Ducknaw is very attached to me, and I don't want to make her jealous.
Oh, please. I've seen you do it once. I'm sure you can do it twice. It doesn't have to be the royal pathway this time. It can be a smaller bridge. A tiny one.
I mean, I'm the kind of bug that's got to run around in the rain to get wet. I could survive any fall just fine. But I already know how it feels when the ground wants you back, and let me tell you, it ain't pretty.
'Cause of my... 'cause of my butt, right? It's a butt joke! And I'm the... I'm the butt of the joke!
Atta girl, we're almost there.
The rhythm of Adder's steps, coupled with a soft sway of his arms as he held our particular drunkard out only served as to increase the sophitic effect of a few too many cups of wine. So my guess is that this is going to lead to the nightly adventure thing. Sepp closed his eyes for a moment.
Whew, boy! I'm gonna feel like I got sandbags instead of arms tomorrow. Wakey, wakey, sleepyhead! We're finally here.
For your information, I was actually awake the whole time.
Sepp reached out for Adder's tail while she stretched her arms, prompting the book to leave her on the ground a little faster. Once repositioned, she finally broke free to look around, but she couldn't see anything. It was so dark and lonely out there that all she could make out was a diffuse glimmer of Adder's horns against the orange moonlight.
You gonna stare at me all night?
She only reluctantly moved her eyes from his at this instance. Her expression lit up finally when she used it. As she finally got used to the dark enough to admire the view before her, a beautiful empty beach hidden behind a wall of run-down houses and drying racks covered by seaweed. Obscured by the night, but with proud fires casting light upon the spires, Illyrium's Alcazar stood regally over the imposing mountain, emerging from the sea, accessible only to the last section of the royal pathway.
Now, I know this place ain't nothing half as fancy as what you're used to, but when I'm feeling like time's running too fast and life's hitting me a little too hard, I come here and just sort of forget everything for a moment. Mr. Bard says it's a sobering view, so I figured it was the perfect time to show you.
They leaned against each other as she sat side by side, watching the outer sea extended before them, too rough and fierce to be explored by the tiny Alcazorian merchant ships, but just loud enough to cover every other sound beyond the beach. The salty breeze kept a few sailboats moved in the night, but they didn't break the illusion of a world where only the two of them mattered. Sepp looked completely captivated by the view. Adder never really needed any excuse to stare at her, mesmerized.
You ain't never been to the beach after curfew before, have you?
I've never been to the beach at all.
Afraid I've ruined the rest of them for you then. This one's perfect. It's empty, it's got a nice view of the palace, and, sand. Only bummer is it's one of those beaches that comes and goes, so, we'll be going with the sand if we don't get the hay out of here for dawn.
Hey, she can't be Anakin Skywalker now. She's not angry at the sand.
So, how did you find it? Why is it so empty? Have you taken anyone here before? Besides that Mr. Bard of yours, does it always smell so weird in here? How deep does the water go?
Whoa there, slow down. One question at a time, ma'am.
Sepp didn't ask again. She reached down to her boots instead, removing them clumsily before Adder's confused stare. Moving with barely just enough grace to not absolutely wasted. She marched a few steps into the sea, letting the comb foam reach her ankles and then her knees. Adder followed suit, having no footwear to worry about. They stayed there in silence for a moment that felt like an hour.
Do you think that we could reach a different shore if we jumped into the sea right now?
I hate to break it to you like this, but the eye patch don't make me a pirate. I swim like a bucket of nails.
I can't swim either, but we could at least try, right? We don't have much to lose either way.
Oof.
Folks die when they drown, you know.
I know.
Silence intruded their conversation again. Always happy to make space for itself. They bore no wistful remarks this time. Bro was heavy and thick, with a secret shared perhaps unwillingly. Most people would have sunk to the bottom of a silence like this, but not Adder.
Hey, how about I paddle us there? Look at these hands. They're basically oars. And my neck looks like the tip of a ship. I was born to be a boat, I'm telling you. Look, I'm just going to lay on my back, and you get on top of me, and we'll sail off to the sea.
So, you want me on top of you, is what you're saying?
I can take you wherever you want, is what I'm saying. I don't mind sinking, as long as you float.
A strange warmth spread across Sepp's face. She couldn't understand why it was, but she was blinking a lot faster than before. She rubbed her eyes with her forearm, only managed to smear teardrops all over her face. No matter how inebriated she was, she still had enough of a questionable sense of dignity left to lay flat on the sand trying to hide her expression. Adder sat by her side and grabbed her whole body with one hand and moved to wait on his lap, letting her anguish melt into tears between his arms. He had a feeling that she would never let him do that sober.
They're all gone, Adder.
I know. I know.
He didn't really know. He didn't have no clue what she was crying about in her drunken haze, as he clumsily stroked her hair around her horns. But it didn't matter. He understood just fine. Something about acting. Alright, do you really or don't leave me? So I think Don't Leave Me, I'm going to guess here that Don't Leave Me is going to bring us to the thing, to what we've already seen. I'm going to try it. Oh no, okay.
Sep, sweetie, are you in there? Could you open the window for me?
Alright, I'm going to break down that.
No? That's okay. Don't worry, you don't need to say anything. I know how... No, I don't. I'm not immortal. I can't imagine how hard this must be for you. All I can say is that I'm sorry. I'm so sorry I couldn't be there when it happened. I failed you, as much as I failed Thar. You don't believe what Yoff said, right? It was nothing personal. All the evidence pointed to a guy. I had to arrest him, and I think... Look, Sep, I don't want this to sound like I'm putting the blame on you in any way, but I have reasons to believe he might have...
He found out.
I see. That's... I don't know what to say. Sep, after all that's happened, I don't think it'd be wise for me to spend any more time around your family. I'm afraid I'm not welcome here anymore. So, we have to say our goodbye for now, little pumpkin. Curses don't have any effect on an old tree like me, so know that wherever you go and whatever you do, I'll be cheering you on from afar. You have a friend in me always, Sep. A loyal ally for the Jasif.
Sep's ears perked up upon hearing that name. She'd read it over and over. She heard it countless stories from her mother. But by the time she muttered the courage needed to open that window, Illigrab was gone. Okay, current. I think Farewell is the one that we just did. I think Horns is the one that opened up. Yep.
Sep.
Okay, so that is one that needs to open up. Was I just playing a role? I think that's the no. Yes?
You look distant today, babe. Is something the matter?
Is it all just an act? There we go. The Desert Rose was an exceedingly successful business, usually hidden away in the little corner of the Hardegg district. However, they were known for the occasional holding of charity events for the good of the city. Brief glimpses of the wonders of the Desert Rose was kept locked behind the walls, shared with the poor citizens who could never get to see such beauties in their entire lives otherwise. Did I say charity? My bad, I meant promotion. The stage was set in the soak for the dancers, and the expectation was an immense, even hours before the show began. The plaza was filled to the brim with excited deer, curious does, a couple of bored gazelles, and a few intrigued ibixes, if I pronounced that right, blocking everyone's view with their huge horns. But the owner of this memory wasn't basking in the love of the crowd that secretly sighed for her. No. We'd have to sneak into the dressing room to find her. Not like that.
Jasif, how much longer do you need to get dressed? Miss Rochelle told me to drag you out by the horns if you're not ready by the next dance.
Oh, don't rush me. You know how much the public means to me. My dance has to be so great they will never forget my face. Or my body. I'm still trying to decide where I want them to look today, so why don't you go and get the embers ready for me? I'll be out in a minute.
Absolutely not! I'm not your errand girl! That's what we have the stagehands for!
Well, someone needs to warn the stagehands that I'm on my way, right? Do you expect me to come out unannounced and stand on the spotlight smiling at the crowd while I wait for the servants to fetch me my torches?
I'm going to be the one to answer in front of Miss Rochelle if you play me a second time!
If I what? Sorry? Play you? Wow, you really have a high opinion of me, don't you? Fine then. I swear by the 3 that I'm going to leave in a minute. There. Did that sound like a lie? No? Then go, before I tell Miss Rochelle that you've been delaying me.
Sep gave her fakest smile as she could, until the doe backpedaled away. She was alone, at last, free to focus on her plan. A plan that had taken weeks of preparation, calibration and study merely to find a suitable chance to carry it out. But the day had finally arrived. And now the moment came.
Rivets! Rivets! Buy your rivets here!
A jingling orange blur dashed out of the tent before the other dancer had a chance to react.
Wait, Joseph! Where are you going? The stage is this... not again.
Rivets for your shields! Rivets for your pants! Make your life more riveting! Slicker than boiled onion, aren't I? Ain't no way she's gonna find me like...
Adder!
That's my... Whoa! Hi. Hey, you called, ma'am?
Gods! Do you know how long you've had me waiting? How can a gangly, one-eyed yellow deer be this hard to find?
I'm sorry, ma'am. If I'd known you were looking for me, I would have hollered a little louder. You, need some good old riveting. Some good old rivets, I mean.
Whoa!
Very funny, but I don't have time for your jokes right now.
My rivets ain't no joke, ma'am. They're for real cast steel rivets made and smuggled out of my boss's forge. Guaranteed return if... hey, you all right there?
Adder, it's me. Don't you remember me?
Ha! Nice try, Missy, but I know this scam. Next, you'll ask me for the money I borrowed from you 10 years ago, and to that I say,
Sep collapsed on the ground, her mind screaming at her. It wasn't directed at Andrew, no. It was directed at herself for letting something so stupid bring her to tears.
Whoa, don't, it's all right. I don't know what's wrong, but there ain't nothing a rivet can't. What do you think you're looking at, huh? It's just a barhan lady, for crying out loud. Keep going, yeah, move along, nothing to see here. You mind if we take this somewhere a little bit quieter, ma'am? Come on, you can scam me all you want once we get away from these creeps.
Adder would have never dared to pat a lady he just met reassuringly, so he instead used his arms as sunshades to protect her from the gossipers and onglers alike. The ruckus of the sulk became a mere whisper as they dived deeper into the maze of streets that surrounded the plaza.
Can't believe I let myself do something so undignified.
Nothing wrong with leaving your dignity home every once in a while, ma'am. My ma used to tell me that crying makes your eyes prettier, and yours are a force to reckon with. Not that I'm saying you're a crybaby, you just, you got some nice eyes there.
So, he has memory lapses?
Eyes! Of course! You're a gaze reader!
Whoa, hold up there! How'd you know that? Did you read my mind? You a gaze reading scammer?
Of course not! I was the one who taught you that concept. Come here and see it for yourself.
Keep those hands where I can see 'em, ma'am. You ain't teach me nothing. A fortune-telling Zell I met moons ago in a fair did. She told you, didn't she? You're a Zell too. You gotta know her.
You can slap him later, you can slap him later, you can slap him later, you can slap him later. Ah, well, I can't know that if you don't specify a little. So tell me about the gazelle. How did she look? She was gorgeous, wasn't she? Did she have any outstanding attributes besides literally everything else?
Well, it ain't like I like to creep on Zels or anything, but, if it'll help you recognize her, I reckon she got a real big... Huh? Big horns? Big tail? No, that ain't right. She looked like a gazelle? What the... Wow-wee, ma'am. You're gonna think I'm crazy, but I can't remember her looks at all now that I think about it. I don't know. Maybe I just fell for her big personality?
No, you didn't.
Yeah, that don't sound like me at all. Well, darn, all right. If you're trying to tell me she's you, just gorgeous don't cut it. You're so pretty you'd make a buck plow through a wall. But that just don't make any sense. Ain't no way I could forget someone like you.
You could, if it was something beyond your control. I suppose I shouldn't have kept this a secret from you in the first place. Tell me, Adder, do you believe in curses?
Yeah, nah, a little bit. I mean, my patron's always cursing me and nothing much has happened yet. Why? You gonna cast a Barhan curse on me if I don't pay up? Don't bother with the evil eye. I already got one of those.
I'm the one who's cursed, you prejudiced idiot. Well, not me, per se. That is, I wasn't cursed personally. It's more like that. How am I even supposed to explain this to someone like you?
Sep began walking in circles, practicing her dance moves as she tried to come up with a way to explain a high-level magic concept to a boy as simple-minded as Adderson, son of Gesfalls.
All curses work under the same principle, an alteration in your connection to the Hatsa. In normal circumstances, the river would erode your soul when you died and lend it to your next life. But a curse can shake the current, block it, or worse yet, separate you completely from it.
We talking oblivion here?
Sep nodded gravely.
Barhan legends say that Omagupseb, the last ruler of Bazaksarat, was cursed by Hirub himself for bringing misery to all gazelles. They say he begged the sun for a way to avoid disappearing completely from history, and it must have worked. I wouldn't be here otherwise. Both his methods and the exact clauses of the curse have been lost to time, but the consequences persist. I am an eternal novelty, a gazelle like no one's ever seen before, as history keeps finding contrived ways to erase me from the thoughts of those that meet me.
Is that right? Well, I'm afraid it don't gotta try too hard with me, ma'am. I'm a Karnmai fighter. Mind-bending, memory-breaking, widow-making, headbutts are part of my day-to-day. And I don't mean to brag, but I'm kinda...
A big deal! I know that, you brute! I knew that you would forget me, but I wanted to think that you looked so weird that you'd have to be special, that there had to be something different about you. But in the end, you're just a normal deer.
Okay, so I take back what I said earlier about, like, him acting like he's never seen her before, even though he'd met her before, kind of a thing. Kind of felt weird, but now it doesn't.
I haven't given you permission to forget me, damn it! I wasn't ready to let go of you! You idiot! You miserable excuse for a gaze reader! You liar! You fool! You absolute dumbass! Remember me! I beg you!
Ma'am, I just want to say that this has got to be the finest scam I've ever seen in my life. Great story, great acting, and using mind reading to find out all those details beforehand was a great touch. Mr. Bard would have clapped if he'd seen you.
For the last time, it's not a goddamned...
Right. Don't break character. Good job. You accept donations on rivets?
Joseph! Joseph, where are you? Why do you always do this to me? Do I look like your nanny or something?
Joseph? Ain't that something like Queen and...
Sep grabbed Adder's face and pulled it towards her. In the darkness of the alley, he saw her eyes glow a mysterious blue.
Come to the beach tonight when the lights are all out. Understood? I swear by Hirub that I will tell all your friends that you're a horn-eater if you don't show up.
The beach?
Your favorite place in all of Heirloom. This is my vote of confidence. I'm trusting you.
Something caused by a goodbye. Okay, the curse is where we just were. I couldn't get over that goodbye. So that was the farewell thing where Illigrab said bye, right?
Sep, sweetie, are...
Here you go. Sun was beginning to set far in the distance. Heeeeead's statue cast a long shadow over the city that no longer paid any heed to one of its greatest gods. Sepp waited under the shade of the black marble statue, eyes glimmering an unnatural blue against the red hues that surrounded her. Her horns were still short, but her expression matched that of an adult. The fumes coming from the officeries drew bizarre forms in the air, as if inhaled by heeeeead himself, all under the intense glare of two purple eyes and a sea of white.
Where's your father, Aina?
Ina's ears perked up upon hearing her name. She stood frozen for a couple seconds and dashed off for the temple, exchanging her presents for the merchants.
Don't waste your breath praying, daughter of Thor. Your mother can't hear you, and a statue can't reply. Well, what did you make me come all the way out here for?
I've come looking for your knowledge, Tespertalk. Illigrib said that you could train me.
Illigrab lied, as usual.
No, he didn't! He said that you too are cursed. That your daughter is as immortal, if not more so, than you are. And that you still dabble in the ancient art of Sephihet, looking for the way to cure her. I want you to do the same for me.
And why would I do that? Aina didn't deserve what happened to her, but that full Omega Sep did. He deserved every last second of his punishment for bringing ruin upon all of Barhankind.
Even if that were true, how was any of what he did my fault? What have I done to deserve his fate? Do deer ask about my ancestors before looking down on me? Don't I live by the same unfair rules as the rest of the Barhan and Akazor?
The merchant caressed his beard as he pondered her words.
You are every bit as convincing as the last Jasif was. All right then. If you really want to become my apprentice, you must forget everything you hold dear. I will take you as my own child and give you whatever name I see fit. You will start anew, free to follow any path you seek.
What? No! I don't want to forget! I can't forget! How will I know what I have to do if you take that from me?
Like you ever knew to begin with! You were just a puppet, the protagonist in someone else's show! And now that your threads are breaking, Illigrab wants me to fix you! But I won't! I told him 1,000 times I don't care about gods and kings anymore! And neither should you! Come now, the temple is huge! And Aina could use the company.
Do you seriously expect me to believe that you will set me free if I let you steal my memories? That you won't use me? Do you think I'm an idiot?
No, I think you're a child.
I am Jasif. I was sired by the sun itself to reign over the world. You are nothing more than a servant to my biddings.
A lonely child is what you are.
I am Jasif, and you will kneel before me!
The merchant's knee waved over the bow of that voice that only barely resembled that of an adult's. The old man could only hold on to his cane to avoid falling on his face, and his legs caved in. Whoa, that's came out of nowhere. Sepp stood proudly over the wizard that was, watching with an awe that reached of a power that she didn't yet understand, but she didn't enjoy her victory for long. A low growling sound of two purple gleams in the darkness beneath Heeeeead's statue distracted her for a moment. The last rays of sunlight reflected against two rows of pearly daggers, poised to sink into her flesh and bone. The sight froze Sepp's blood long enough for the merchant to recover his composure and lunge towards her, swinging his cane like a madman.
How dare you talk to your eldest like that, you spoiled rapscallion!
Pertok's voice was so powerful that Sepp clapped to her knees, but she wasn't his target. Behind him, a shadow seemed to dissolve into the ground and whacked away with the long end of a cane.
What was that? How did you...
Like I never tell you! Damn, kids. It's always the same. You think that you're better than the rest just because you're a little talented. Practice! Practice is the secret to every skill, and I've had 400 years to practice! I was cursed to live as the only man standing between you and the fate Heeeeead cast upon your kin, and yet you dare force my hand as my power grows too weak to protect you! Thank your luck the moon was not watching tonight, or else we'd both be lying in a pool of your blood!
My blood? What's any of that supposed to mean? I don't understand!
You only need to understand this, insolent child! I will not train you! Not today, not in 1,000 years! If there's a barhand fated to watch a new sunrise over Basaxarat, it won't be you! Not while I live!
Yeah, she done messed up. Maybe she is Anakin, after all. Maybe she hates the sand of the... She'll grow to hate the sand of the beach.
I don't care what you, or the gods, or anyone wants. I will become Jasif, one way or another.
You can't become Jasif! Don't you feel the flames burning inside you? You were Jasif 1,000 years before you were born! The sun will scorch this land till the moon says the opposite.
Shiver went down the merchant's spine, shaking him from his beard to his bald tail. He stood for a moment, looking in Sep's direction.
So, that's how it is, huh? To think I'd seal my own fate over a stupid fawn's tantrum.
Who are you talking to?
That doesn't matter. I've said far too much. It's dusk now. You're feeling very tired. Go back home and wake up in your own bed, far from plots and divine missions. Live a life led by your own choices, daughter of Thor.
Yes, sir.
And you there, pray that I don't find who you are!
Y'all's not a living. What in the name of oblivion was that just now? Ain't no way the patron would know I'm watching this, right, Sep? Right? Sep? Never mind, I'm getting the hay out of here.
Revisit Sep's greatest fault. There's only one left. Sep's greatest fault. I think the curse, maybe? Nope. What is her greatest fault? Oh. The door.
Mom? Mom?
Nope. Oh wait, no. That's different. It's all my fault. Oh, that's cool. Oh. Okay. Fast Adder sitting on the beach all alone as he watched the palace. As soon as he saw this, Adder knew that the ensuing memory would be. He felt compelled to walk away to pretend he didn't stumble upon this. But there came Sep, awkwardly dragging her hooves through the sand as she made her way towards the past projection of himself.
Enjoying the view?
Adder jumped to his feet as Sep's face appeared on his monolateral field of vision.
Well, hello, does and stags. It's the magic scammer at last. What took you so long, ma'am? Now I was starting to worry I'd have to go back home unstabbed.
I'm not a stabber. Why would I bring a knife here?
Let's see. The prettiest gazelle I've ever seen in my life asking a half-made, one-eyed chump to meet her alone in the dark on a deserted beach? Neither you brought a knife or you brought a fork, ma'am.
Precisely. If anyone's bound to carry a knife between us, that'd be you, slum dweller.
Ha! I knew you were lying through your teeth. If you knew me so well as you say you do, you'd know the chances of me carrying a shank are -0. I'm dead scared of pointy things.
Oh, I'm sorry. The list is so long that it's hard to keep track of your fears sometimes.
You call me a coward now? Well, yee-haw my melt and call me a biscuit. I can't believe this. I've come here to be robbed, not insulted, Missy. This buck's headed home if you're gonna get all pissy.
Adder, wait! Don't leave. I'm at my wit's end here. Please, look at me. I know we haven't known each other long, but it was really fun. I've grown really fond of you. So, please, tell me that you know my face, my horns, my ears, my anything.
I'm sorry, ma'am, but I couldn't tell a fir from a palm tree in this light. You mind if I step a little closer?
Sepp nodded hesitantly. Adder got up slowly, dusted off his pants, and let his hands fall on his hips. He pulled his head closer, his expression contorted to one of extreme concentration.
Now that you say it, you do look kind of familiar, yeah. What'd you say your name was again?
I'm Jaceve, because I said Jaceve, right? Who did I say I was?
And then he kissed her.
A queen don't need no introduction, you dumbass.
The slap Adder got was all undeserved.
You dissolute reprobate! You witless waste of Barhan blood! How long have you known?
Only since that other doe called out your name. When she yelled, Yasif! I looked at her, and then I looked at you, and something in my mind went boom! And my brain just sort of knocked on my skull like, Adder, you dingus, that's your gal right there!
Of course! I hadn't taken previous third-party interactions into account. You met Nahira before with me specifically, in a very similar situation. We shared enough memories for your mind to find that extremely odd. A deja vu!
Bless you.
Don't you get it? The curse works so that you don't realize you know me unless you know that I exist. And what better way is there to prove my existence than having someone whose existence you acknowledge define my person in a word?
You're gonna have to explain that to me at least 20 times, Sepp.
Adder grabbed the gazelle by her waist and began to spin her around. They turned and turned until they ended up dizzy and laughing in the sand. The two kissed and whispered and said 1,000 meaningless things. And when the rush began to wear off, they watched the sea quietly.
Even after all that, I'm still not very sure of how you could remember anything before tonight. Most people just forget they met me entirely if they don't see me for a few days, even if we meet again. You, however, could recall everything after weeks. Have you spent a long time around ghosts or gods or, cursed people in general? Your eye seems used to seeing things that shouldn't be there.
I don't know, and I don't care. My eye's just happy to see the things that are here right now.
Your eye? Of course. We'll go with that.
Hey, don't get ugly now. I was worried sick. Thought something for real bad would have happened to you. Like maybe Miss Rochelle locked you up and I'd have to save you or you'd been sent away. But then I saw the guard and I thought, piece of cake. I'll just have to find a way to sneak in tomorrow. Next I knew, I'd been crying for days and I didn't even know who I was crying for. I tried looking in every corner of the city because I forgot the girl I was looking for. I missed you so much.
It's okay. I really... Well, it doesn't matter. It's over now. We won't have to stay away from each other ever again.
Hold up! Don't tell me you went and ran away from home or something just to be with me.
It's not just that, of course. There's far too much happening right now in my life. Elbar has been pulling me to one side, Rel to the other, and I don't know. I felt like I was about to break, and I didn't think I could handle it anymore. Not without you by my side, at least.
So what do we do now? You want to come with me to the slums? Mr. Bart will twist my neck like a rag when he sees you, but I'm sure you two will hit it off great. Now I can teach you how to avoid a knife fight, what fountains got clean water, the tastiest moss, and You didn't think this through, did you?
You are precisely the last person in the world I wanted to hear that from. But no, I had a feeling that I would never have another chance to have you by my side if I didn't come here tonight. And I'm not very used to having feelings in general. It felt important. Fortunately for all of us, I seem to be frankly terrible at burning bridges.
Sep produced a rose-shaped key out of her shirt.
If I go back to my life before Ral forgets me, we won't be able to see each other again. The curse will run its course. You'll forget me once more, and well, I'll be forced to remember you no matter what.
I don't want to forget you ever again, and much less see you cry, because I'm not thick-skulled enough to snap out on my own. But it ain't like it's hopeless, right? That Yasif guy sort of managed to break the curse, and I'm sure he wasn't half as smart as you are. And you'll figure something out.
It's not like I don't have my own theories on how to break it. I mean, there is one deer who has been avoiding the curse for 2 decades. He keeps coming back no matter how much I tell him to go jump off a goddamned... Whatever. That's not relevant. Moving on. I think I know the reason why he's unable to forget me, but I don't think it's a good idea to replicate the experiment. You'd hate me for it.
Look at me, Sep. I don't know what an experiment is, but if I ain't begun hating you for all the ugly stuff you done to me, I won't begin anytime soon. I don't want to risk forgetting you ever again, okay? Whatever it is you gotta do, just... What the hell are you doing, Sep?
Taking precautions. Come now, don't just stand there. Take off your clothes too and get in the water with me. It should be safer like this.
I think you got that backwards, ma'am, but, if you miss me that much...
Sep's tail floated behind her like a fluffy bait, specifically designed to lure Adder into the water. She walked toward the depths until the waves reached her shoulders, ensuring they were far enough from any onlookers at shore or merchants in the sea. The two stood awkwardly against each other, gazelle and buck naked. I see what you did there. I see what I did there. See, I'm the narrator. Anyways, this was far from a shocking development, but the water was pretty cold, and exhibitionism wasn't precisely Adder's forte. So he felt like apologizing a few times and digging a hole for himself. Sep wouldn't let him curse his own luck, however. It was the gazelle who bridged the gap between them, and bridging Adder closer to her until the curve of her horns was touching his jaw, and her forehead was resting on his chest. Adder surrounded her whole body with one hand, surprised by her uncharacteristic display of affection.
Do you love me, Adder? I mean, do you really love me? Can you love me even though I'm a gazelle?
Not enough of me.
Come on,
Watch
Sep.
me now.
What sort of question is that? Of course I love you. I'm gonna say it as many times as you gotta hear it. I love your horns, I love your tail, I love those stripes on your face and your friggin' dumb smile and all the things I shouldn't be saying, but you know how much I dig.
Then, what if I told you I'm not quite a gazelle? Would you still love me then?
Say what?
Answer! Would you love me if I was something else?
Yeah, I'd love you no matter what.
She has the same shape as what's his face as the red merchant.
Get on your knees and swear it.
I swear it. I love you with my whole heart. You to know how much love fits inside this heart, ma'am. It's bigger than my brain, bigger than these hands even.
The moment after this declaration seemed eternal. Adder was blushing so hard that his cheeks looked like they were about to catch fire. Sep needed a moment to stop an outrageous, undignified tail wag before it started. After much hesitation, she placed her wet hands on Adder's shoulder, and her lip trembled as she did her best not to let the slightest trace of embarrassment show.
I trust you then.
She inhaled deeply and let her thoughts in order, like so many times before. For a few moments past, her eyes began to glow an unnatural blue against the darkness. Adder had always thought that he had been imagining things when he saw her eyes gleam, but he could see it clearly now. There was really something a little flame flickering behind them. He stared intently, flummoxed by the peculiar sight, until Sep turned her face away sharply. The glow vanished as her chest heaved. the blue light replaced instead by a glowing red flush across her cheeks.
Don't stare at them like that. It's hard enough as it is.
Adder didn't confirm nor deny this. He merely nodded, knowing that there was no other way he could look at her. Closed his eye. Sep curled her fingers on his shoulder, making her way towards his chest. Her palms began feeling warm as they dried up. It was a warmth that spread through Adder's body, reaching deep to his heart. He had felt this warmth many times before. It made him feel over the moon. This is where he's marking his shoulders. However, the temperature kept increasing. It was no longer comfortable touch he knows so well. The heat began searing his whole body, driving beyond the parts of him that were submerged in the water that he didn't even cool him anymore. It wasn't coming from her hands anymore, and it had gone way too far. Adder felt like he was holding a boiling pot instead of a gazelle. He tried to pull away, only for Sep to increase her grip on his shoulders.
Not yet. Just a little longer. Please.
Her fingers felt like red-hot irons over his skin. Adder lowered his head, unable to stand the glaring light beyond his eyelids. Sunrise, perhaps? No, that was impossible. The sea would have swallowed the beach whole. Deep down, he knew what the source had to be, but he didn't want to see it. He knew if he looked, he would never forget whatever he saw. That he would have to live with a new secret for the rest of his life. And he had too many of those already. And yet, he opened his eye, curious, scared and disoriented, just a little, just a glimpse. Whoa, watch out. Just enough to see a sea of fire. I think that's it. Yep, those are... I think that's it. So I think either A, we can leave the diary. I think it should be the end of the chapter, but that could be a bit, so we may want to stop for tonight. Let me go here. So yeah, I think we're gonna stop here for tonight. We got through all the diary entries and all that stuff. So we're gonna leave the diary next time, and we're gonna see if we can what choices we have to get out of here instead of just the one there. So thank you guys very much for watching tonight. Hope you guys have a good night. This was a longer one, so thank you for sticking around, and we'll see you for the next one when we leave the diary. Have a good one, guys.